What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to What If I Was Child Emperor and an S-Class Criminal for Fun in MHA My Chaos Academia Part 4. If you are enjoying this series, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and leave comments down below, and help me reach my 100 subscribers target by the end of the month. Don't forget to check out the author of this amazing series. The story link is in the description down below. With that, guys, enjoy. Hail Hydra!
Never tell a fact that I never stay running. Sipping on facts, damn, no, I got stacks to the left, taking bitches straight for another cat.
Months ago, after the Endeavor fiasco and coming under public scrutiny, the Hero Public Safety Commission momentarily halted any suspicious and immoral activity within their facility. However, this did not stop some of the board members from secretly funding illegal animal research in a small illegal laboratory located inside an abandoned warehouse. The tests carried out on experiment 626 show that the specimen is stronger than we thought. The scientist hisses, his face covered in recent scars as he stands in front of a screen communicating with the Hero Commission, trying to get more funding for his twisted experiments. Without clear and concise results, we will not be able to continue financing your research. Therefore, we will have to look for another person who meets the expectations. A member of the board of directors of the Hero Commission says, seriously crossing his arms on the other side of the screen. This of course infuriates the scientist. I have invested a lot of time, effort, and blood in this investigation, the scientist exclaims, angrily pointing at the scars on his face, before calming down and huffing. A few days ago, experiment 626 attempted to escape, causing several scars on the scientist's face. However, the experiment was quickly contained due to the failsafe implemented by the scientist. Experiment 626 is the only specimen that has managed to successfully adapt to the tests, not to mention the ability to regenerate cells and the quirk factor, so it is possible that the experiment will develop new abilities in the future. He hisses with a crooked smile spreading across his face. With sufficient funding, the potential will be limitless, he exclaims with a manic glint in his eye and spreads his arms out dramatically. A weapon of mass destruction capable of dealing with all the enemies of the Hero Commission, or even the genetic structure data from the experiment, could be instrumental in achieving immortality. The scientist hisses, licking his lips. This elicits a look of interest from the executive. We will reconsider increasing the funding, and this is all the executive says before someone else quickly approaches him and whispers a few things in his ear, causing the executive's eyes to narrow. I have just been informed that a few minutes ago there was an intrusion into our system. Connection lost at that moment. The power in the laboratory is interrupted, causing the emergency lights to come on. A general power failure. It's impossible. This can only mean one thing: prepare for combat and establish contact with the Hero Commission again. We are under attack, the scientist exclaims, pointing at his subordinates, before an explosion blows up the main door of the laboratory. Damn it, the Hero Commission was supposed to keep heroes away from this area. The scientist hissed, introducing his hand into his mouth and pulling out a small switch that was kept inside him, thanks to his quirk that gives him some reptilian qualities. Immediately afterward, the screams of his subordinates do not wait as he begins to approach a small cell, where experiment 626 is contained. Quickly, inside the cell stands a small, emaciated puppy with 3 sets of eyes quivering in fear in a corner, with a powerful electric collar around his neck. I have a task for you, monster. Via Sammy. Moments before, I am on top of an abandoned building in the industrial zone of the city under the moonlight, while carrying out a very important telephone conversation. Mom, it's just a pajama party. You have nothing to worry about. Your cute and obedient son won't cause any trouble. I chuckled, holding my phone as a variety of weapons unfolded from my backpack. And it should be noted that Izuku texts me every 2 hours to check if I'm okay. I whisper quickly before snorting. You know that we always care a lot about you. Inko whispers with her motherly tone, causing my little heart to clench. She and Izuku really care about me, and that's why I always have people protecting them in the shadows when I'm not with them. I won't make the foolish mistake of leaving my family unprotected. Have fun, honey, and remember not to eat so many sweets. God only knows why you never get cavities. She laughs slightly. I love you, Mom. Bye till the bye, I say, ending the call and putting my phone away, while a goofy smile spreads across my face, which doesn't go unnoticed by the only person accompanying me on this adventure. Do you want me to give you a hug? You can close your eyes and imagine that I am your mother, Darby says with his hands in his pockets, taunting me as a shitty grin spreads across his face, before a robotic tentacle shoots out of my backpack and slams into his stomach. This causes him to fall to the ground, clutching his stomach before starting to laugh out loud. Barker, I whisper, looking away as I feel my cheeks heat up in embarrassment. Despite being a genius, despite being considered an S-rank villain, and being the leader of an evil organization, my cognitive process is mostly influenced by the brain of a child. Although that's not so bad. It was just a joke, kid, Darby says, standing up and shaking his clothes a bit before turning his gaze to a seemingly abandoned warehouse in the distance. And good, what's the plan? He asks, seriously, taking out a pair of white gloves from his pocket with the Hydra symbol on them before putting them on. These gloves are an upgraded version of his previous gloves, therefore they are even more destructive and deadly. I can set the whole place on fire with a snap of my fingers and get this over with quickly. Then I can be back in time for dinner with my little brothers. Darby snorts. Ever since Darby was reunited with his family, he has been trying hard to make up for lost time and catch up with his brothers. Sorry to make you come abruptly, I say, holding up a finger. However, Toga and Twice are in their mandatory night music classes, and besides, you were the closest person I could find in this short amount of time, I say, nodding my head like it's the most logical choice. A few minutes ago, I hacked into the Hero Commission database out of boredom and discovered that illegal tests on animals that possess some kind of quirk are being carried out in this apparently abandoned warehouse, I say, seriously, causing Darby to narrow his eyes in the direction of the warehouse. Animals that possess a quirk are very rare in today's society, therefore many of these animals end up on the black market, or in some unfortunate cases in the hands of mad scientists. It should be noted that Nezu was the result of the latter. I'm sure they managed to detect my presence in their database, so they will soon delete all evidence including this facility. I hum as a crooked smile begins to spread across my face, before I grab my gas mask from inside my backpack. I think it's time to adopt a pet, I say, putting on the gas mask and thus hiding my creepy smile. You have no choice, Darby snorts, scratching his head with a small smile on his face as I start to run toward the edge of the building. Keep an eye on the outside and don't intervene unless it's a life or death situation, I exclaim, happily jumping off the roof of the building before starting to propel myself with the help of my rocket shoes towards the front door of the warehouse. At that moment, I press a small switch on my watch, causing a total power failure in the entire area as well as blocking communications. Then a couple of missiles are fired from my backpack and hit the front door of the warehouse, causing a huge hole. Good night, I exclaim, brazenly entering through the hole while all the eyes of those present are fixed on me. Most of these people are petty criminals, so there are no commission members or heroes here. They do this so they don't get involved in case some hero or the police discover this place and connect the dots. Well played. At this, I quickly draw from my belt 2 small spheres in the form of pokeballs, which I call Hydra balls, and throw them in the direction of the crowd. Underdog man, I choose you, I exclaim with a smile behind my gas mask. Huh, he's just a kid with stupid toys playing hero. One of the villains taunts, holding a bat before a robotic fist slam into his face, and I send him flying into a wall, startling the rest of the crowd. Underdog man, 2 humanoid dog-like robots exclaim in unison with their robotic voices having emerged from the Hydra balls. Thanks to my compression technology, I recognize that gas mask. He is Child Emperor. Another unfortunate villain exclaims in panic, taking a few steps back before a powerful robotic kick hits him and smashes him to the ground, knocking him out instantly. Then my ferocious robotic dogs began mercilessly kicking butt and breaking bones all over the place while I calmly walked past various unconscious bodies. These minions don't pose a threat to me, so my main goal is to find out what kind of twisted experiments are going on in this place, steal the data, and possibly adopt a cute little dog with superpowers. However, since I entered these facilities, I have not seen a single animal shit. The evil of the human being knows no limits. Stupid heroes, stupid villains, stupid adults. When I get my hands on the scientist responsible for this, die you fucking brat. My armor is indestructible, one of the idiots exclaims from a distance, covering his entire muscular body with metal and starting to run in my direction. Your mommy is not here to save you, he exclaims with a crooked smile on his face as he rushes over to me. I'm really not in the mood right now, I grunt as a huge boxing glove unfurls from my pack and hovers protectively over me, causing electricity to swirl around it. I don't plan to hold back with these monsters. Nothing will, is all he says before my huge boxing glove hits him at full power, breaking many of his bones and smashing him to the ground, causing a crater. I guess being an adult doesn't mean you're strong. I huff my hands in my pockets away from the unconscious monster inside the crater and start toward a still running laptop. In that, a small robotic tentacle unfolds from my backpack and connects to the USB port of the computer, thus extracting all the classified information. At that moment, some images play through the visors of my gas mask, as well as the final notes from the scientist in charge, causing a disgusted look on my face. Experiment 626 successful and awaiting further funding for additional testing. In that, a movement in the distance catches my attention. So you are the INTRUDER tilde, and from what I see you are behind my investigation. A voice hisses from the darkness before a silhouette begins to slowly walk towards me. and becomes visible moments later. In front of me is the scientist responsible for these cruel experiments. However, he is not alone. It is impolite to enter a scientist's laboratory without an invitation. He hisses cruelly, holding some kind of switch in his hands as a small, quivering pup with a strange collar around his neck stands in front of the scientist protectively. As a reward, or rather as a punishment, I will let you taste firsthand the fruit of my research. He hisses with a manic glint in his eye before immediately pressing the switch between his hands. This causes a strong electrical current to begin swirling around the pup, who staggers and whimpers in pain before beginning to growl. "Stop. You're hurting him, bastard," I exclaim in fury as my robotic tentacles unfurl from my backpack along with other bladed weapons and prepare to attack the scientist mercilessly. I will cut him into thousands of pieces. However, an explosion of smoke spreads around the pup, completely covering it as the scientist smiles cruelly. "The best medicines always have a bitter taste," he hisses, licking his lips with his long tongue, before the smoke covers him completely. Inside the smoke screen, I can watch wide-eyed as the silhouette of a dog begins to grow larger and larger, before a huge tail slams into my small body, and I am sent flying into a nearby wall. Critical damage to the protective barrier, critical damage in the gas mask. Ouch. I grunt in pain, pulling myself up off the ground as my breathing becomes erratic from shortness of breath caused by a failure in my gas mask upon impact. So with no other options, I took off the gas mask and threw it to the ground, exposing my face before spitting some blood on the ground. Luckily, my protective barrier activated in time, otherwise I would have ended up seriously injured or even worse. My face is now completely uncovered. However, there are no cameras in the warehouse for obvious reasons, and most of the scientist's subordinates are unconscious, so I have nothing to worry about except the scientist. At that moment, a loud roar is heard throughout the place, causing all the smoke to be dissipated immediately. "Hey brat, do you need help in there?" Darby's voice echoes through my watch. "Don't worry, it's just," I whisper with a defiant smile spreading across my face as I wipe some blood from my mouth and gaze in fascination at a huge Titan dog in front of me. A little problem, I better not ask." It's all that Darby says before cutting the communication. "Experiment 626, exclaims the scientist, standing in front of the Titan dog and holding a switch in his hands while a vicious smile spreads across his face. "Kill him," he exclaims, pointing his hand at me before pressing the switch, again causing the Titan dog to roar in pain, looking at me before looking at the scientist and starting to growl. "I told you to kill him. Obey me, you damn monster," he exclaims, taking a couple of steps back and pressing the switch several times between his hands, while sweat begins to run down his face before a bit of drool falls on him. "Karma is a bitch," I hiss cruelly, watching as the huge jaw full of sharp teeth gets closer and closer in the direction of the scientist. "Wait a second, I refuse to die in this place. Please save me," the scientist exclaims in a panic with his eyes wide open and extending his hand in my direction before being fiercely devoured, causing his hand to fly out in my direction. "Titan fatality," I exclaim wide-eyed and pump my fists in the air with excitement as I watch the huge Titan dog munching and gulping down his appetizer. "That was incredible. I really want this Titan dog to be my pet, and I'll get it no matter what." "What a turn of events. Huh," I say with a sly smile on my face and place my hands on my waist as the huge Titan dog now snarls and bares his sharp teeth in my direction. He must think that I want to hurt him too. He is scared and confused. From what I can see, the strange collar around his neck is still hurting him. Therefore, I must neutralize that damn collar quickly. "You must be afraid of humans. Let me help you and I promise you won't regret it," I exclaim, trying to calm the animal down. However, I fail miserably, causing him to start pouncing in my direction with the intention of making me his next appetizer. "It will be the hard way then," I whisper as my eyes lightly shine before pointing at the huge Titan dog with my hands. "Underdog man," I exclaim, causing my two robotic dogs to run past me and pounce in the direction of the big Titan dog. "Destroy the collar," I exclaim, clenching my fists as one of my robotic dogs is crushed and destroyed by one of the enormous Titan's legs. At this, several robotic tentacles are shot from my backpack and wrapped around the Titan dog's front legs, causing him to lose his balance and crash to the ground. At that moment, my remaining robotic dog jumps onto the Titan dog's neck and holds the huge collar in his robotic hands, before his robotic body begins to overheat and turn red. "Self-destruction," Underdog man exclaims before exploding in a controlled explosion, causing the destruction of the collar without injuring the Titan dog. All this causes the huge dog to lie on the ground, breathing heavily right in front of me, while his three sets of eyes watch me intently in confusion for having freed him from the evil collar. Sate, I hum, taking a few steps forward with my hands in my pockets before patting the huge dog's head, causing him to start shrinking back to his life size, turning into an adorable little puppy. I guess after destroying the collar he has come to his senses and realized that I don't want to hurt him after all. He's just a puppy. Level complete. I huff, falling to my knees before laying back on the ground while the little cub watches me contemplatively. Do you want a chaos cookie? I ask, pulling a couple of cookies from my pockets before eating one and offering the other to the pup. At this, the puppy begins to slowly approach my hand before devouring the cookie, causing him to start waving his little tail. They won't hurt you again, I say, stroking the head of the little fluffy puppy. I'm sure he can understand me. In my early childhood, I always wanted to have a pet, a faithful companion who is always by my side no matter what. However, I never got the chance. Do you want to come with me and use this world as our playground? I ask hesitantly. At my question, the pup's eyes glow brightly before he jumps on top of me and starts licking my face. Stop, you tickle me. Ha ha ha. I chuckled on the floor, pulling the pup away from my face shortly after. You will need a new name, I whisper, massaging my chin. Experiment 626 is not a good name considering all he had to go through in this place, and for some reason, I keep thinking of a blue alien. Come to think of it, he does have a certain resemblance to I got it. Welcome to the Hydra Initiative, Rover, I say with a sly smile on my face as the now christened Rover barks happily, running around me. And to think that a few moments ago this adorable puppy tried to eat me. Really the best pet that I could wish for. Okay, it's time to get out of this place before the heroes or commission members arrive. I whisper, exhausted, using my robotic tentacles to lift myself off the ground and hover in the air, before Rover jumps on top of me and curls up on top of my head. On our way out of the lab, Rover snarls at the oblivious minions around us. Don't worry, boy. They won't hurt you again, I whisper with a dark look on my face. Soon after, Darby's figure becomes visible by the destroyed door with his hands in his pockets and looking intently at me before looking over at Rover. Any serious injuries? He asks seriously, to which I shake my head and he sighs. I guess this is his way of worrying about me. All in order? I ask, taking a lollipop out of my pocket before starting to eat it. Sweets allow me to think better and recover energy a little faster. Some idiots tried to escape, I quickly dealt with them, Darby says with a shrug as we walk out of the warehouse. And I notice some burned spots on the floor, along with traces of ash. It seems that Darby was taking out his frustrations on these poor bastards. However, I don't blame him, these people are the worst. If the Hero Commission manages to recover the data stored in the computers that still remain in the laboratory, they will be able to resume these twisted experiments again in another clandestine location. So the most logical option at this point is to completely destroy the entire lab. What are your orders? Darby asks, narrowing his eyes in the direction of the lab behind us. I am not a hero, nor am I a vigilante. I am a villain for fun, and in my game, I make the rules. EOV third person inside that laboratory. There are no humans or animals, only monsters. Child Emperor whispers cryptically, licking his lollipop innocently as a vicious smile spreads across Darby's face. He perfectly understood what Child Emperor meant. Well said, Darby says, cruelly pointing his hands in the direction of the laboratory and using his special gloves with the symbol of Hydra. Blood and fire, he exclaims, furiously snapping his fingers. This causes a huge explosion of blue fire, which begins to consume the lab fiercely. However, this was not enough for him, and he kept snapping his fingers furiously. A snap of fingers followed by an explosion, another snap of fingers followed by another explosion, and finally, Hail Hydra, Darby exclaims, snapping the fingers of both hands, causing a huge explosion of fire, completely destroying what was left of the laboratory in a magnificent spectacle of blue flames. While this was happening, Rover's eyes shone with contemplation, and it was at that moment that he knew that he would accompany and protect this strange little human with all his strength until the end of his days. A wild Rover has joined the team. The accident was later covered up by the Hero Public Safety Commission as a gang fight gone bad, and they quickly closed the case. Sometime later, with the loss of information in the laboratory computers, any attempt to resume the investigation was in vain, until the project was closed by the president of the Heroes Commission. Unbeknownst to them, Child Emperor used all the data obtained from the laboratory to launch his own research, and with the new technology developed by him and the help of his faithful companion Rover, the results were exceptional. Are you ready? You don't have to worry, my calculations are infallible, Child Emperor says, pointing to himself with a confident smile on his face, before he starts typing rapidly on his computer deep in a secret underground lab. At this, Rover quickly licks Child Emperor's face before jumping to the ground and heading towards a huge machine with the symbol of Hydra in the distance. Since Rover was rescued, Child Emperor has treated him kindly and has never harmed him. Therefore, Rover fully trusts the abilities of his favorite human, and after this, he knows that he will have many Chaos Cookies to devour. Chaos Cookies are Rover's favorite food. Good boy, Child Emperor whispers with a proud smile on his face before pressing a huge red button. Connected to the main Musutafu power grid, full power charge systems working at 100%, activating the homunculus innator. He exclaims, pulling a lever causing the entire laboratory to light up brightly, and causing the city of Musutafu to go without electricity for a few minutes, alarming many people and heroes. The Deadly Sins project has started. Back to the present. Sitting on the Iron Throne is the main clone of Child Emperor cosplaying and responsible for spawning the Chaos clones. His compound H courses through his veins, dooming him to an explosive end in approximately 7 minutes. Mirko is already here, which means the rest of the heroes on the outside will be here soon. He hums, watching with division all the chaos unfolding around him as he stands up and adjusts his military uniform, before approaching one of the compartments that emerged from the ground around the Iron Throne. He has a role to play. Oh, God of Chaos, lend me your strength to punish my opponents, he cheekily says, taking a futuristic-style rifle from inside the compartment. Let me spread this wonderful chaos around the world, he says, devoutly holding his rifle tight as several holographic screens appear around the rifle before pointing forward. And turn this world into my playground, he exclaims passionately as a crooked grin spreads behind his gas mask before he pulls the trigger. POV: a raise ahead. The enemy has captured Power Loader along with Sir Night Eye and taken them to an unknown location. I couldn't do anything to stop it. This situation is way beyond us no matter the planning. The brat is always one step ahead of us, with a damn smug grin behind that gas mask of his. Shota, watch out. Present Mick exclaims, snapping me out of my thoughts and pushing me to the side, allowing me to dodge a laser blast that was coming toward me. Damn, I lost my concentration for just a moment, and I almost paid dilly for it. This can't happen again. At this, I adjust my glasses as Present Mick stands next to me, breathing heavily with sweat pouring all over his face, before a small smile spreads across his face. Constant vigilance. Huh? He snorts, mocking my slip. I'm sure he'll be rubbing this in my face for a long time. However, there are more important things right now. Are you okay? I seriously ask, preparing my capture weapon. Yes, I only have some minor injuries. However, for some strange reason, the clones that were attacking me decided to retreat while mentioning something about giant turrets. Present Mick says, scratching his head nervously. At that moment, a childish laugh in the distance immediately catches my attention as my hands tighten on my capture weapon. There is coming the main clone. I growl, watching a small flying figure rapidly approaching us. We all are the JINGOES_OOO, the main clone exclaims, flying quickly towards us holding a strange futuristic rifle in his hands. Sonic boom. Present Mick exclaims, stepping in front of me before activating his quirk to full power and sending powerful sonic waves in the clone's direction. However, he was not the only hero attacking the flying target. You made a grave mistake by not defeating us when we were defenseless, Snipe exclaims from a distance, with both his revolvers smoking and surrounded by a pair of clones who fall to their knees due to a small hole in their heads before beginning to dissipate. Don't underestimate us, he exclaims, pointing his weapons in the direction of the flying clone, before starting to shoot and guide his projectiles with the help of his quirk. At this, the main clone rises higher and higher and performs some evasive actions in the air, nimbly dodging Present Mick's powerful sonic waves, while some projectiles follow him and hit some kind of protective barrier generated around him. Immediately after, he positions himself directly above us in the air head first and pointing his rifle at us. We are in the JUNGLE_OOO, he exclaims as electricity begins to swirl around his gun and he points it directly at Present Mick before pulling the trigger. Nuo, I exclaim with all my might, with bloodshot eyes, reaching my hand forward trying to reach Hazashi as I watch everything around me slow down epically. I will not lose another partner in that. Memories of my former partner Oboro assail my mind. Not again. I have never believed in the existence of some kind of god. I have always been guided by logic and reason. However, if there really is a god, please let me save my friend. Then, as if my prayers were answered, a small but powerful kick smashed into the clone's protective barrier, causing the shockwave to send him flying into a pile of rubble in the distance. This, of course, caused the clone to miss the shot and hit just millimeters from Present Mick's feet. I saw my life flash before my eyes, Present Mick whispers, his face completely pale as he clenches his trembling fists. I sigh in relief as my breathing returns to normal, and I watch Gran Torino land in front of us. I'm old, but I can still put up a good fight, he says, breathing heavily as beads of sweat stain his old face. He must have reached his limit a long time ago, and from what I see he's not the only one. A raise ahead, do you have any plans? Snipe asks, quickly approaching us and starting to reload his weapons with live ammunition. Then the same childish laughter reaches our ears, causing our bodies to tense up and keep us on high alert. This clone is undoubtedly more resistant than the others. It will take more than a small hit to dispel me, he hums from a distance, shouldering his rifle and dusting off his strange military uniform, before glancing at his watch. Looks like it's time for you guys to face the floor boss, the clone says cruelly, causing a chill in our bodies, while the ground begins to shake slightly. In that, a feeling of fury invaded my body. This is not a game. Your actions have real consequences. Understand it? I exclaim, clenching my fists as the tremors get stronger. Oh, and who can stop me? The clone asks, tilting his head slightly, mocking us. I am inevitable, he exclaims, spreading his arms out theatrically, just as the ground below him collapses, and a huge creature emerges, sending debris everywhere. What the hell? What is happening? The tower is collapsing. Snipe quickly asks in a panic. I think we should, is all Snipe says, dropping one of his weapons to the ground with wide eyes. I think I'm going to need this. Gran Torino snorts, drawing and activating a small green lightsaber as a challenging grin spreads across his old face. Cute little dog present, Mick whispers, taking a couple of steps back, watching with wide eyes a huge creature snarling with his sharp teeth in our direction. 2 turrets are positioned on the creature's back, while a strange and terrifying symbol is present on the creature's forehead. However, this was only the tip of the iceberg. In front of us is the main clone of Child Emperor, standing on the massive creature's head alongside Toga and Twice, while Power Loader and Sir Nightai are bound unconscious behind them. The boss of this floor is my little puppy, Rover, the sin of gluttony, the main clone exclaims as the creature's tail wags erratically, as if he's happy, before roaring loudly in our direction, making the place shake slightly. Right/left turret ready. I hear a couple of childish voices exclaiming from inside the turrets. They are the remaining clones. This is bad, very bad. Get ready. I snarl, clenching my grab gun as my fellow heroes prepare to fight for their lives. Little brat, I really wanted to help you, however this is beyond my capabilities. Damn problem child. Rover, the main clone exclaims happily, spreading his arms to his sides as bolts of electricity are generated inside the creature's mouth, which grows larger and larger. If I can get out of this, I'm going to need a well-paid vacation away from this little demon. Dracaries. E.O. Vyazuku, today was supposed to be an ordinary day. I would go to school together with my little brother. On my way back home, I would buy some sweets to secretly give to him, while Mom would prepare her famous katsudon. After that, I was supposed to meet with All Might to continue my training with my new quirk, the One for All. How could things end up this way? Hours before the disaster, he is more powerful than we ever imagined. Young Midoriya, now, you are humanity's last hope. All Might whispers with the last of his strength as dozens of heroes lie defeated around him. In front of me is the person responsible for all this, standing, with his arms crossed on top of a giant flying cookie. I'm Cookie Magneto, and I can control all the cookies in the world, Isamu exclaims, wearing a cookie-shaped helmet as hundreds of cookies begin to float behind him. My little brother, I whisper in shock as my breath hitches. The cookie apocalypse has begun, he exclaims, causing dozens of cookie-shaped meteorites to hit the city, while on the horizon, I watch hundreds of titanic gingerbread men slowly approaching across the sea. My body doesn't move, I can't do anything. This can't be real, this isn't real. Sugar overdose, he exclaims, pointing at me with both hands as an evil grin spreads across his small face, before a giant cookie crashes into my stomach. A small pain in my stomach startles me, causing my eyes to open abruptly. ZUUU get up and shine, a small figure exclaims happily, sitting on my stomach and shaking me slightly. Cookie Magneto, I exclaim in panic, pushing the small figure to the ground, before remembering that it was just a silly nightmare, to which my face turns red with embarrassment as I realize what I've done. I'm an idiot. Did you have a nightmare? My little brother hums with his face glued to the ground as I quickly help him to his feet. I'm fine, he whispers before I hug him tight. Stop my ribs, not again, he squirms, trying to free himself from my embrace. I dreamed that you were a villain who could control cookies, and you caused the cookie apocalypse, I exclaim, dramatically suffocating him in my embrace. But it's just a silly nightmare. My adorable little brother would never be capable of something like that, let alone be evil, I whisper, ruffling his hair and releasing him from my embrace. I'm more evil than you could ever imagine, Muhahaha. My little brother proudly laughs, imitating an evil laugh as he places his hands on his waist and strikes a pose. Do not say foolishness, I snort, shaking my head while chuckling slightly. Now that I realize it, my little brother is already wearing his school uniform. Oh no. By the way, my little brother says, seriously, holding up a finger. I think we'll be late for school, he says as a cheeky grin spreads across his face as he points to my alarm clock, which had run out of batteries. My suspicions came true. What? I exclaimed with my hands on my head. Why didn't anyone wake me up? I ask angrily while my little brother pouts and crosses his arms. Oh, he was trying to wake me up when I threw him to the ground, sorry, I whisper, nervously scratching my head. The past is the past, he says with a shrug as he extends his hand in my direction and stands on his toes before tapping his finger on my forehead. My silly and dramatic ONII-Chan. He snorts with a small smile on his face. Kids, hurry up or you'll be late for school. Again, I, along with my little brother, Heard the authoritative cry of mom coming from the kitchen. Otherwise you'll both be grounded for a week with no all-night programs and no treats. She cunningly threatens. Hi, we both exclaimed in unison and shared a look at each other before nodding our heads and getting to work. My little brother has prepared a contingency plan for this kind of situation. He is always prepared for anything, and that will definitely make him a great hero in the future. Race to school mission begins. WAKU. My little brother exclaims, raising both fists in the air before running into my closet and quickly pulling out a suitcase which he places on my bed. Change your clothes quickly while I distract mom and take care of the rest, he says, opening the suitcase before quickly leaving my room with a sly smile on his face. Inside the suitcase is my emergency school uniform, which is completely ready to wear. I couldn't wish for a better little brother, I whisper, quickly changing my clothes before heading to the bathroom and looking at my toothbrush along with the prepared toothpaste on the sink. Thanks, little brother. Mom, you have to watch this video, I hear my little brother exclaim as I quickly brush my teeth before gargling with my mouth. Nice try on your part, my little boy genius. But your attempts to distract me won't work on me. Wait a second, are they kittens? One of them even looks like you trying to reach for the cookie jar. How adorable, I hear mom exclaim in her motherly tone as I spit the water into the sink and quickly towel my face dry. Shortly after leaving the bathroom, I find my backpack ready with all my things next to the bathroom door. My little brother is really the best. I need to put more effort into my training with all might. I need to overcome my limits and master this power that was conceived for me. I need to get stronger to protect him at this. I clench my fists with determination and put on my backpack as I head to the kitchen. Next, I grab a smiley face embellished toast from the table, causing a smile to spread across my face as I quickly devour it, followed by a gulp of orange juice before running towards the door. To the side of our apartment door is my little brother writhing and being squashed in a big hug from mom. Why does everyone want to break my little ribs? I have done nothing to deserve this, he exclaims dramatically before chuckling. I'm ready, mom, I exclaim, catching both their attention and stopping in front of mom before catching her breath as she releases my little brother and watches me carefully before glancing at her wristwatch. This is bad. She will realize that it is already late enough, and she will punish us both for my carelessness. Then my little brother winks and gives a thumbs up in my direction while I just hang my head. Because of me, my brother will be punished. Oh, I could have sworn it was later, mom whispers in confusion, scratching her head as she looks at her watch, causing my eyes to widen, and I look instantly at my little brother, who has a subtle smile on the curve of his lips. Looks like you guys won't be late after all, she says, sighing in relief before a smile spreads across her face. I hope you both have a great day, she says with her motherly tone as my brother and I quickly leave our apartment in the direction of the school. Aren't you forgetting something? Mom asks authoritatively, causing my brother and me to stop abruptly and take a few steps back in her direction. I almost forgot something very important. We love you, mom, we both say in unison, kissing her cheeks while she hugs us tightly and smiles maternally. I really love my family. Shortly after saying goodbye to mom, my brother and I continued on our way to school when I couldn't help but snort. Thank you for everything. You really are amazing, I say, walking next to my brother as a proud smile spreads across my little brother's face. I'm sure he changed the time on mom's wristwatch after distracting her to prevent us from being punished. We are brothers. We have to support each other through thick and thin. Always remember that, okay? He hums with his hands behind his head, walking calmly next to me. And don't cry, he exclaims quickly. I'm not a crybaby, I exclaim, swallowing a lump in my throat as I quickly wipe away a couple of happy tears that were threatening to spill. Liar, my brother snorts, causing a beaming smile to spread across my face. Then as we round a corner, we find Kakin leaning against a lamppost with his hands in his pockets, looking at us intently before quickly approaching us. About time you showed up, nerd, he exclaims, pointing at me with his hand. And you too, you little devil, he says, pointing now to my little brother. Oh hi, BAKA Tilda-chan. My brother hums slowly with a shitty grin spreading across his face, causing Kakin to lose his self-control again. Damn it, do not call me that way, Kakin exclaims angrily, causing small explosions in the palms of his hands, drawing the attention of the people on the street and around us. Kakin, breathe in and out, breath in and out, everyone is looking at us. I quickly started trying to calm Kakin down, causing the small explosions to stop. At that, my brother walks past Kakin and pats his back. Good boy, my little brother says with a smirk on his face before laughing out loud and starting to run away from him. I'm not a fucking dog. Come back here, you little devil, Kakin exclaims with a defiant smile on his face, before starting to chase my little brother down the street. At this, I just snort and shake my head with a small smile before starting to chase after them. The two of them have a peculiar friendship relationship. I still remember with amusement when Kakin demanded that his parents adopt Isamu in front of my mother, causing quite a scene. Since then, Kakin treats Isamu as a kind of little brother to protect in his own way. Die Kaken exclaims, followed by an explosion along with a couple of laughs. Minutes later, and after being reprimanded by some adults due to Kaken's inappropriate behavior, we continued our way towards the school. However, something feels strange in the air, as if something bad is about to happen. It's probably just my imagination. What do you guys plan to do when you become heroes? My brother asks with interest, licking a lollipop that Kaken bought him before looking at me carefully. And don't answer something corny and cliche like wanting to protect the smile of your precious people. He says, crossing his arms and rolling his eyes cutely before chuckling slightly. I will become a hero that people can trust and feel safe. I want to be a light and hope for many people. I want the world to know that I will be there with a smile on my face. I say, clenching my fists. I also want to protect my loved ones. I whisper, averting my brother's gaze. When I become a hero, I will capture Child Emperor's brat and become famous by capturing an S-rank villain, Kaken says with a bloodthirsty smile, making small explosions with his palms to emphasize his point. Then I will create my own hero agency and allow you guys to have the honor of being the companions of the #1 hero, he says proudly. And what are you planning to do, brat? Will you join my agency? Kaken asks, looking at my brother. Come to think of it, I don't know SM's motivation for wanting to be a hero. Does he even want to be a hero? Maybe he wants to invent supporting items for heroes like the famous inventor David Shield. I'm very curious about his answer. At that moment, a strange smile spreads across my little brother's face as he watches us attentively, causing both of us to shiver. Are you guys curious about me? He hums, placing his finger over his mouth. I'm afraid it's a secret, he says, winking in our direction cheekily. Team Kaken growls, cracking his knuckles threateningly, while I stand between him and my little brother to prevent a repeat of the scene from minutes ago. Then the sound of a phone calls the attention of the three, causing my little brother to check his pocket quickly before taking out his phone. Wota, he exclaims with wide eyes, reading some kind of message on his phone. Brother, what's wrong? I ask quickly with a bit of concern. My spy informs me that a group of veteran players will be meeting shortly and planning an attack on my not-so-secret base. My brother says quickly with a big smile on his face. WAKU, he exclaims, happily nodding his head. Oh, I understand. Spy, secret base. What the hell is he talking about? Kaken asks, confused, looking at me. It's an online game. I snort, scratching my head while my brother starts typing fervently on his phone, concentrating on that strange game. Remember, you have to go to school, I say authoritatively. Mom would kill me and ground me for months if I let my little brother skip school to play video games. I can't let my little brother get off track. I know, you don't have to worry about me all the time. ONII_Chan. He huffs, putting the phone back in his pocket before crossing his arms and pouting adorably. However, I have to pee, he whispers. Can't you wait until we get to school? We are only a few minutes away, I ask, looking around. Or you can use that fire hydrant, Kaken says with a vengeful smile, pointing to a fire hydrant near us, and in full view of many people going to their respective jobs. Nope, my brother exclaims, squirming slightly before pointing to a coffee shop in the distance. I'll use the bathroom from that new cafe, he says with a strange twinkle in his eye and nodding before quickly heading towards the cafe, while Kaken and I wait outside. That coffee shop opened a couple of weeks ago, and from what I've heard on internet forums, it's popular with some pro heroes. Antiki, I whisper, reading the name of the cafe. It really is a strange name for a coffee shop. Why the hell is the brat taking so long? Kaken exclaims angrily. Do you think he ran away to play that video game? He whispers, narrowing his eyes in my direction. My little brother would never do something like that, I exclaim, clenching my fists. He wouldn't do something like that. Maybe we should go in and check if everything is okay. At that moment, a noise coming from the back of the cafe catches my attention. What if Kaken is right and my little brother plans to escape through the cargo area of the cafe? If so, my brother will be in a lot of trouble. However, my suspicions were instantly dispelled as I watch my little brother walking out of the cafe through the front door, licking his lips as he adjusted his school uniform. I feel stupid suspecting my little brother, although at the same time, I feel relieved. Then a black delivery van belonging to the cafe speeds out of the back. It looks like they're in a hurry to deliver an order. ZUKU_Kun. My brother exclaims, happily jumping on top of me and hugging me like a koala before sniffing my neck. You smell delicious. Maybe I should bite you and turn you into a vampire, he whispers close to my ear, causing me to shudder. He's having that strange behavior again. It was just a joke, he says, quickly pulling away from me with a sharky grin on his little face. If you two have already finished your nonsense, we have to hurry to get to the damn school. The old hag will be angry if she gets another call from the professor. Kaken growls, clicking his tongue before walking over to my brother and carrying him like a sack of potatoes. At this, I quickly nod as we continue on our way to school without further distractions. Gamba Gamba Senpai told a Gamba Gamba Senpai. My brother hums and claps enthusiastically, sitting on Kaken's shoulders as we approach the school gates. You cheeky little demon. Kaken growls, trying in vain to hide a small smile on his face, before realizing that I'm looking at him with a smile on my face. The damn ride is over, he exclaims, shaking my little brother off his back, who lands on his feet on the ground. Isamu's reflexes are terrifying. Hey, that was rude of you, my brother says, showing his small sharp teeth in Kaken's direction. You're like a fucking cat. Kaken snorts, scratching his head and used to my brother's behavior. At that moment, a characteristic sound coming from my phone catches my attention, indicating that I have received a text from All Might. Given this, I quickly read the message. ' Young Midoriya. Something very important came up for which I will not be able to attend training tonight. Stay safe and remember Plus Ultra. I need to get stronger. I need to get smarter. I need to get more capable. If I really want to protect my little brother and the people important to me, I need to try harder. So, we finally made it to our destination, Aldera Junior High. Not knowing that in a few hours, chaos would take over the city of Japan and of much of the world. Shortly after walking through the school doors, my brother says goodbye to us and goes to his classroom. Then, Kaken and I walked briefly through the corridors and entered our respective classrooms, attracting the gaze of everyone present. Izuku-kun, Katsuki-kun, welcome back. Class started 15 minutes ago. Something to say? Our teacher asks, crossing her arms while I start to stutter. A few months ago, our previous teacher suffered a mental breakdown, claiming that evil spirits had taken over the school, and that we were all being watched from the dark by a demonic entity. The next day, a kind and beautiful lady would become our new teacher. We were sorry, Fayumi-sensei. I stutter, leaning quickly at a 90-degree angle in front of her, while Kaken just whispers something incomprehensible and looks away from her. You guys can take a seat. She snorts with a cute little smile on her face as she adjusts her glasses before holding a book in her hands. Continuing with the lesson, she says, resuming the class. She really is a good teacher. She really cares about me, unlike my previous teachers, and she is very cute. At this, my cheeks start to blush as I get closer to my seat. Don't think about it. Don't think about it, bad Izuku. Bad. Hair nerd. Kaken quietly teases me as I take a seat and quickly hide my face in one of my notebooks. What am I supposed to do in these kinds of situations? I want to thank Fayumi-sensei for being so good to me. However, every time I'm around her, I get nervous for some reason. I really don't know how to talk to a girl. What would they do in my situation? Kaken would definitely challenge her in a fight to prove he was the strongest mom for some reason. Would give me the embarrassing talk about bees. So that's permanently out of the question. Isamu would probably give her a cookie bar. What am I thinking? Isamu is only 9 years old. Surely he thinks that girls have lice. However, he has some female fans, so I might ask him for advice on how to deal with. I muttered at incredible speed, without noticing my surroundings. Hey, nerd, shut up, it's creepy. Kaken whispers, hitting my chair, which causes me to stop muttering as my eyes widen. Izuku-kun, is everything okay? Fayumi-sensei kindly asks as she watches me carefully before hiding a small smile. At this, my cheeks turn red as I squeeze my eyes shut. Hi, I exclaim, praying internally to any deity and wishing to become invisible. EOV third person months ago. At the Todoroki residence, EA-da, Isamu exclaims happily in his school uniform after having infiltrated one of the Todoroki residence's bathrooms, abruptly interrupting Fayumi Todoroki's shower. Kaya. Fayumi exclaims in alarm and completely naked, before hastily covering herself with a nearby towel as the temperature of the bath drops slightly. What the hell? Do you want to give me a heart attack? She asks, confused, controlling her breathing as she looks at the small figure of Isamu smiling in front of her. Why are you in my bathroom in the first place? She asks, narrowing her eyes in his direction. Darby told me days ago that Fuyumi-Onichan had something to tell me personally. So here I am, he says innocently with a shrug. And good. What did you want to tell me? Ne-Chan. He hums, tilting his head slightly and placing a finger on his lip in feigned confusion. You're just as cheeky as always. She huffs, massaging her forehead before shaking her head at him. Could you at least wait until I put some clothes on? It's rude to sneak into a bathroom, she says authoritatively. I just wanted to see Fuyumi-Onichan before leaving for my secret lab, Isamu says sadly, ducking his head like a kick puppy. I guess I can come back next month. He snorts, turning his back on Fayumi, as a shitty grin spreads across his face, waiting for her reaction. Ever since Darby has reunited with his brothers thanks to Child Emperor's help, Fayumi has tried to personally thank him for rescuing her family from misery and darkness. She knows perfectly well that he is the reason why her brothers smiled again, and Isamu knows it very well. Wait, she exclaimed, moving towards him before hugging him. Sometimes I forget that you are just a child, a strange and unpredictable child. She whispers. I'm also adorable and dangerous, he says, puffing out his chest proudly, causing a small smile from her. Honestly, I wanted to personally thank you for saving Shoto from Dad and making my brothers smile again. That is something that is priceless to me. She whispers, clenching her fists. Even though you trusted us by revealing your true identity and participating in some of our family dinners as an honorary member of our strange family, I haven't had the courage to thank you for everything you've done for us. Even if some people call you a villain for us, you are and always will be our little hero. She shakily says, hugging Isamu tighter. Anything you need, whatever it is, I'm willing to do it, she says determinedly. For her, the happiness of her family is priceless, and if it means getting involved in some of Child Emperor's plans, she will do it with a smile on her face. Anything? Isamu asks innocently, with a twinkle in his eyes, engulfed in her embrace before looking straight into her eyes like a little puppy. At Isamu's tender gaze, she nods with fervor and determination. You said so, Isamu whispers as a mischievous smile spreads across his small face. In that case, I'll make you pay me with, he says, licking his lips before gently holding Fayumi's cheeks. With your body. With my, huh? Fayumi stammered in a panic, with her face flushed red, and backed up a few steps as she tightly gripped the towel covering her naked body, before comically slipping and falling to the ground. I told her Onitchin, you're quite right, only an altruist does things selflessly, Isamu says with a predatory smile on his face as he approaches her. It's the law of equivalent exchange. He hums, crouching in front of her. I lighten your burden, he says, intertwining his hands with Fayumi's trembling hands. In exchange, I'll take, he whispers seductively, leaning closer to her face, causing Fayumi's breath to quicken and her heart to pound as the temperature in the bath begins to drop rapidly. Your work, Isamu says brightly with a beaming smile before helping her up off the ground to her surprise. What? It's all Fayumi can say, swallowing a lump in her throat and in confusion after what she just went through. What a relief. Isamu snorts dramatically. My brother's teacher had a mental breakdown at school today, after seeing something he shouldn't have seen, he says, waving his hand dismissively. And considering you have teaching experience, you're the ideal replacement, he says, nodding his head. So that's what you meant, she whispered internally with relief, and looked away as the temperature in the bathroom returned to normal, which was not lost on Isamu. Did you think I meant something dirty? Isamu asks with a mischievous smile, placing his hands behind his back and swaying on himself as Fayumi's eyes widen, and her face turns red with embarrassment again. You're wrong, it's just, she stammers rapidly before being pointed accusingly and interrupted by Isamu. Tilda-chan, you pervert. Isamu hums, shaking his finger reproachfully as his eyes sparkle with amusement, enjoying seeing Fayumi covering her face with her hands. However, I'll let your inappropriate behavior go if you promise to help my brother in school. He needs a push to come out of his shell and develop social skills with people of the opposite sex, Isamu says, looking closely at Fayumi. After all, Izuku is still Izuku, my nervous and dramatic big brother, he whispers with a small smile on the curve of his lips, before looking away quickly. Toya warned me that you would try to get into my head and manipulate me in any way imaginable at the first opportunity. You really are a strange and unpredictable child who enjoys the chaos around you. Fayumi snorts with a small smile on her face before ruffling Isamu's hair. But at the same time, you are an extraordinary child who cares about his family even if you don't want to admit it, she whispers, leaning forward and kissing his cheek like she did in the past when her brothers were smaller and more adorable. I suppose you will get along with my brother. Isamu snorts with his arms crossed as she kisses him sweetly on the cheek. At that moment, footsteps are heard from the other side of the bathroom door as the door handle slowly turns. Nissan, is everything okay? I heard screams, Shoto monotonously says, opening the bathroom door, and instantly his eyes widen as he observes his sister next to Isamu in the bathroom. So like every hormonal teenager, Shoto quickly came to a conclusion. Sorry for my intrusion, he exclaims quickly, his face completely red and steaming before abruptly shutting the door and running off into his room. Huh, how strange. I thought Shoto would be happy to see you. Why did he run away? Fayumi asks in confusion, scratching her head. By my calculations, he misread the situation in addition to the fact that your towel is not where it should be, Isamu says with an innocent smile, looking her up and down, before pointing to a towel on the floor next to her. Due to the previous situation, she didn't realize that she had dropped her towel, so she was completely naked. Because you didn't tell me before, she stutters, blushing, covering her private parts with her hands, before picking up the towel from the floor and covering herself with the towel again. You said so, Fuyumi tilde Onitchin, or should I say Fuyumi tilde sensei? Isamu hums happily as an evil grin begins to spread across his small face. I love chaos, he exclaims, dramatically raising both fists in the air. Oh no, Shoto, she exclaims with wide eyes, realizing her terrible carelessness before rushing out of the bathroom. Shoto, wait, this is not what it seems. After this, Isamu quickly left the Todoroki residence with a satisfied smile adorning his face. Oh, my little big brother, I wonder how you'll deal with a sweet teacher who cares about you. Isamu hums, lightly touching his cheek where he was kissed. It will be uncomfortably fun to watch. Huh. Back with Izuku, POV Izuku. After my embarrassing situation, classes continued as normal. Even Fayumi sensei congratulated me me on my high grades. No other teacher had congratulated me before, which makes me very happy. I am really lucky to have Fayumi-sensei as my teacher. Very well, we will continue the lesson after lunch, Fayumi-sensei says with a smile, closing her book and placing it on her desk before checking her phone as my classmates start to leave the classroom and head towards the cafeteria. At this, I carefully observe how Fayumi-sensei's smile is replaced by a frown before she leaves the classroom. Did she get bad news? However, on my way to the cafeteria with Kaken, things started to get weird. Hey, nerd, Kaken says, looking around us as we enter the cafeteria. Something strange is happening, he whispers through squinting and pulling his phone out of his pocket, while I watch some students stare at his phones with wide eyes, and even see a group of teachers whispering seriously to each other while surrounding a laptop. At that moment, a sinking feeling ran through my entire body. What exactly is happening? Did something bad happen? Does this have something to do with the message All Might sent me? This has got to be some fucking joke. Kaken growls through gritted teeth as he peers at his cell phone, and almost immediately the conversations around us escalate. Quick, get on Emperor 2 before the page crashes. Live broadcast. Countdown. Lend me your laptop and I'll introduce you to my older sister. Something epic is about to happen. My parents forbade me to enter that page, but they are not here. Child Emperor is about to start a live broadcast. These were some things that I managed to distinguish among the number of students talking at the same time until an unmistakable voice in the distance caught my attention. Izuku, come here, my little brother exclaims excitedly, raising his little hand in the air to get my attention as he points to his laptop on top of one of the cafeteria tables, broadcasting a countdown. However, this caught the attention of some of his admirers, who quickly approached him with the purpose of watching this strange transmission with him. No wonder my little brother has some fans. After all, he is very good at sports, and recently became the captain of the school's soccer team, plus his grades are perfect. Stay away from me, harpies, or I will bite you. Again, he threatens by baring his sharp teeth at a group of girls several years older than him, causing them to back off a bit before me and Kaken quickly sit by his sides protectively, while Kaken keeps the girls away with his murderous glare. How envious they hog the cute little Asamu-kun. I also wish I had Asamu-kun as my little brother. The forbidden always has a special flavor, ara. I hear the group of cheeky girls mutter as they walk away from us, and giggle softly amongst themselves. Those girls will be a problem in the future. I need to protect my innocent little brother from the clutches of those girls. But how? Izuku, my brother spells, slowly pulling me out of my thoughts. Don't worry about those girls, they don't bite, and if they try, they'll regret it, my brother says with a strange smile on his face before pointing to the computer. I have a feeling things are going to get very chaotic soon, he whispers, licking his lips. He's right, when Child Emperor is involved things usually end in disaster, and that's precisely why the teachers in the cafeteria have serious looks. Unlike many students, they know that every action has a consequence, be it social, political, or moral, and even deadly. Due to the anticipation, many people are talking at the same time with an enthusiasm which angered Kaken. Everyone shut up or I'll blow you up, Kaken exclaims threateningly, causing the arguments to stop around us. Then began the live broadcast that would change everything. I'm still not sure what really happened at first. There was a brief but spectacular fight between Captain Celebrity and Child Emperor. I must admit that Child Emperor's inventions are really cool and destructive. The result of that fight was an almost absolute victory for Child Emperor, who gestured towards the camera, causing many people to smile, including me. The brat fights well. He is a worthy match for the future #1 hero, Kaken says with a defiant smile as he clenches his fists. Kaken, the heroes will most likely end up catching him before that happens, I whisper nervously while Kaken just shakes his head. Child Emperor is a child, so it is possible that the heroes will be lenient and allow him to redeem himself. Even maybe he can help the heroes with his fantastic inventions. Child Emperor is too smart to let himself get caught, my brother hums with a small smile as his cheeks flush red and his eyes sparkle with stars in his eyes. Is my little brother some kind of fan of Child Emperor? Those questions are for another time. There are more important things right now. Then Hawks appeared, and another incredible match began. It was at that moment when it became clear that both Hawks and Captain Celebrity were not planning to capture Child Emperor, and soon after it was revealed that the Hero Commission had ordered the assassination attempt. This information took all the people in the cafeteria by surprise, and even more so the teachers, who had pale looks as they understood the seriousness of the situation. This is the kind of hero that protects us, a boy exclaims, throwing his plate of food to the ground. They want to kill Child Emperor, that's disgusting, a girl exclaimed furiously, clenching her fists before running out of the cafeteria. I feel helpless, damn it, another boy exclaims in the distance, holding his head in frustration and helplessness. Everyone stay calm, one of the teachers stutters, trying to calm the situation, but his nervousness was evident as his hands trembled slightly. By orders of the principal, all students are to return home immediately. Please evacuate the school in an orderly manner and return home quickly. I hear Fayumi-sensei's voice through the cafeteria speakers before the teachers start hastily evicting the students. It has begun. I hear my little brother whisper as a crooked smile spreads across his flushed face before he tucks his laptop into his backpack. What the hell is going on exactly? Child Emperor is right. The hero system is rotten. Only people with powerful and flashy quirks can make it in life. Why don't they teach us that in school? A student exclaims, breathing heavily with wide eyes. It's not fair, and that makes me mad. He exclaims in fury, inadvertently unleashing his quirk and causing all the nearby windows to blow out. This is why they're evacuating the school, Kaken says through gritted teeth, grabbing my little brother's arm and pulling him along as chaos breaks out around us. Because of damn extras like these, he growls as we push our way through a crowd of students and some teachers trying in vain to restore control. Once we leave the school and proceed through a few streets, I can see the magnitude of the situation in which we find ourselves. The people around us seem confused, nervous, and panicked. Many of these people are holding their phones and watching the live stream as some nearby stores begin to close for safety. People still remember what happened months ago with Endeavor. Since that day, confidence in the heroes was negatively affected, and the trigger for all of this was undoubtedly Child Emperor. People are afraid that some kind of similar situation will repeat itself. Then in the distance, I see several speeding police cars heading toward the center of New Sutafu, while a couple of police helicopters fly overhead in the same direction. We have to go home now, I exclaim authoritatively, clenching my fists while Kaken stares at the live broadcast through his phone. Right now, my main concern is keeping my little brother safe, and Kaken knows it. To get home we have to cross part of the city. However, taking a bus or a taxi is out of the question, as the streets are heavily congested with all the traffic lights failing for some reason. Using the train is also not accessible due to all the trains stopped running minutes ago. This is not a coincidence. Due to the current situation, my mother as well as Auntie Mitsuki quickly contacted us to check if we were all right and ordered us to return home quickly before communications failed. With no other options, we had no choice but to walk through a city that was gradually succumbing to chaos, and even observed some sinister people wearing masks with hateful messages directed at the heroes. Some heroes were lying on the roofs of buildings, while others were standing next to the cops trying to calm people down and break up the occasional fight. Most of these heroes are rookies or interns. I guess most seasoned heroes must be in some kind of operation with All Might. Soon after, we arrive at an intersection in the center of the city, where a large number of people are gathered watching a giant news screen that is broadcasting the Child Emperor fight live. At this, we watch with wide eyes as Captain Celebrity grabs Child Emperor by the neck and prepares to deliver the final blow. Observing the situation, I clench my fists while my breathing quickens. Is he supposed to be considered a hero? Why? Heroes are supposed to be forbidden to kill, let alone a child my little brother's age. It's unfair what the Heroes Commission is doing. Damn hero, a man in the crowd exclaims furiously. Fake hero, another person exclaims, wearing a mask with a message of hate to the heroes. Then, Hawks makes a spectacular intervention, saving Child Emperor and seriously injuring Captain Celebrity, surprising everyone. It seems that Hawks had some kind of divine revelation, defying the orders of the Hero Commission and acting like a true hero. I take the fucking psycho's hand off using a lightsaber, Kaken says with a defiant smile spreading across his face as the crowd of people starts cheering for Hawks along with Child Emperor. I would like to see Child Emperor bathed in the blood of Captain Celebrity. My brother whispers with a strange twinkle in his eyes and licking his lips while his cheeks are flushed. After this, I'll need to have a talk with my little brother regarding this strange behavior or obsession. At this, Child Emperor along with Hawks join forces to fight against the deranged Captain Celebrity for what seemed like a few minutes. But for me, those were the longest minutes of my life until Child Emperor's next words reached my heart. Most of the villains grow up in hostile environments, living in harsh situations with a lot of suffering for which they have grown desperate. Child Emperor passionately exclaims with a hand on his heart. So they think that acting in such a way is their last chance. He exclaims, raising his hand in the air as if he is waiting for something. Then a warhammer surrounded by electricity crashes into the side of the powerful aerodynamic barrier generated by Captain Celebrity, causing a few cracks in the barrier before landing harmlessly in Child Emperor's hand. We judge and criticize without knowing their history or motives. There is always a reason why they are who they are. Child Emperor exclaims, starting to run in Captain Celebrity's direction as Hawks pounces and slams his red lightsaber into the protective barrier around Captain Celebrity, causing sparks to fly into the air. On the giant screen, you can see the erratic breathing of Captain Celebrity, using all his strength to keep the barrier protecting him. before taking advantage of a small opening and delivering a powerful kick to Hawks in the stomach. This forces Hawks to drop to his knees and spit some blood on the ground as he tries to catch his breath. If you were born in his place, you have no idea how similar you would be, Child Emperor exclaims, using Hawk's back as some sort of springboard to propel himself into the air, swinging his epically electrically covered warhammer. I watch wide-eyed as the warhammer crashes into Captain Celebrity's mighty barrier. Ragnarok, Child Emperor exclaims, producing a powerful explosion of smoke and electricity, which ends up destroying the aerodynamic barrier and hitting Captain Celebrity, who abruptly rolls several meters on the ground in the opposite direction of a huge smoke screen. Due to the smoke generated by the explosion, visibility becomes zero for a few seconds, until the small figure of Child Emperor becomes visible through the thick smoke without his backpack, while a strange melody reaches our ears. London Bridge is falling down, he hums ominously, dragging his warhammer across the ground, in the direction of Captain Celebrity, who lies unconscious on the ground meters away from him. At that moment, I observe some dark clouds beginning to cover the sky above us, while lightning followed by powerful thunder is heard throughout the city. A storm is about to hit us. What does he plan to do now? Kaken whispers, squinting at the giant screen and ignoring the thunder as my little brother stares at the screen with wide eyes. Falling down, falling down, Child Emperor hums, dragging his warhammer closer and closer to the unconscious disgraced hero. Is he going to? At this, a shiver runs through my body at what may happen. Don't kill him, this is not the right way and you know it. Please let me help you. Hawks grunts in pain, slowly getting to his feet as he holds his stomach and stares with a concerned look at Child Emperor. London Bridge is falling down, Child Emperor hums, cruelly shrugging at his prey, before swinging his mighty warhammer in the blink of an eye, causing many people around me to hold their breath, including me. My fair lady, Child Emperor whispers, hitting the ground just inches from Captain Celebrity's head, creating a small crater and sparing his life, before dropping his warhammer on the ground and turning around. For a moment, you worried me, I knew you weren't a bad boy after all. Hawks snorts with a slight smile. However, Captain Celebrity's eyes widened abruptly, before he extended his remaining fist forward rapidly to everyone's shock and horror. Let's see the sea together, Child Emperor exclaims happily before his chest is suddenly pierced by Captain Celebrity's fist. Huh, it's all Child Emperor can say. The hero always wins, Captain Celebrity says with an unhinged smile behind Child Emperor. No. A desperate scream filled with pain, helplessness, and rage coming from Hawks was the last thing we heard before the transmission ended abruptly. This can't be happening. Did I just witness a murder? Did Child Emperor just? This doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. Hey, nerd. Kaken whispers with wide eyes, pointing to the giant screen. What the hell just happened? He asks through clenched teeth as my breath hitches in panic after what I just witnessed. Then the emergency broadcast system started broadcasting on the giant screen. This is the emergency broadcast system of the Japan Hero Public Safety Commission, announcing the start of martial law. Right now, they are crazy. London Bridge is falling down, my brother whispers with wide eyes, humming that strange melody and looking at the giant screen, while I hold his hand tightly. He must be terrified. Oh God, what kind of situation have we gotten ourselves into given this? The cries of the crowd did not wait, while the police and the heroes present did everything possible to control the situation. Blessed be the Heroes Commission, and our heroes, a heroic nation. And the message on the giant screen before chilling sirens are heard from all directions, raising everyone's panic. Martial law has just started and we are in the middle of it all. POV third person as chaos quickly spreads around the world. The headmaster of Japan's most prestigious school of heroes sits quietly meditating in his office, holding his cup of tea and trying to piece together all the pieces of this twisted game. Attempts to contact the assault group have failed, as have attempts to contact the Hero Commission. This game, it's very curious, Nezu whispers, taking a sip of his tea. At that moment, the professional hero and UA professor, Cementus, enter the office with a dark look on his face. Principal, according to his instructions, no student was allowed to leave the school. The general education, support, and administration students were escorted by the available teachers into the auditorium, where they will remain safe until the situation improves outside. Cementus seriously says, security robots along with some staff members are conducting patrols around the entire perimeter of the school, so only an idiot would attempt to attack this place. Cementus snorts, scratching his head. However, I am concerned about the students from the heroic department. They are currently in their internships. I can't imagine the harsh situation they must be facing outside right now. Cementus whispers, clenching his fists in frustration and helplessness, knowing that his students are in danger. A hero's path will always be fraught with difficulties, and it is these difficulties that strengthen the resolve of a true hero. In the midst of adversity, they must prevail, learn from their mistakes, and push their limits. Nezu says, nodding his head and looking directly at Cementus. And with Child Emperor directing the forces of chaos behind the scenes, the future is bewildering. Nezu hums, taking another sip of tea, and watches with amusement as Cementus's eyes widen at this news. Nezu, you as well as I saw the unfortunate end of that live broadcast, Cementus says, clenching his fists. Captain Celebrity Psycho pierced that kid's chest and unleashed this whole shitstorm, he exclaims angrily before taking a deep breath and calming down. Cementus, like many other people, was affected after witnessing the end of the live broadcast. Even though Child Emperor was rated as an S-rank villain by the Hero Commission, many people and heroes still had hopes of catching him and reforming him. After all, he was just a little kid playing the villain, a child with unimaginable potential. However, the unfortunate end of the live broadcast took the heroes and much of the world by surprise, except for Nezu. And tell me, did you notice anything out of the ordinary in the last moments of the transmission? Nezu hums as Cementus shakes his head slowly before Nezu replays the last moments of the broadcast on his computer. When the Warhammer hit Captain Celebrity's aerodynamic barrier, a small but powerful explosion of smoke and dust was produced, which completely covered Child Emperor for a few seconds. Nezu says, taking another sip of tea before continuing. Immediately after, Child Emperor's backpack disappeared, and that's not all. Nezu hums, pointing out the way Child Emperor was dragging the Warhammer across the ground as he approached the unconscious Captain Celebrity. For some reason, the Warhammer increased in weight, or Child Emperor became weaker in a matter of seconds, not to mention that his clothes did not show signs of prolonged combat. Nezu chuckles slightly. Principal, what are you trying to say? Cementus asks hesitantly as a sinking feeling begins to spread through his body. At this, Nezu places his cup of tea on his desk. Child Emperor is undoubtedly still alive, and from what I can gather, he has attacked the Hero Commission facility and taken control of the emergency broadcast system to incite further chaos, Nezu says, seriously clasping their hands on the table while he watches a peculiar pop-up window on his computer. How can you be so sure of this? Cementus asks, impressed by Nezu's deductive ability. The answer is very simple, Cementus. It's something I would do, Nezu says ominously as an evil grin begins to spread across his face. And with the next target, Nezu says with an amused glint in his eye as the lights in his office flicker and dozens of pop-ups appear on his computer. Virus detected, virus detected, virus detected, Red King.exe detected apostrophe. Over the last few months, I have implemented improvements in the security system of this school. Waiting for this moment, Nezu says with a predatory grin, pressing a secret red button on the bottom of his desk, before starting to laugh like a lunatic as a gamepad emerges from a compartment on his desk. Initiating all defensive computer protocols now begin the counterattack, Nezu whispers, taking the gamepad and pressing the start button as if all this were a video game, where the total control of the School of Heroes will dispute. Nezu Destroyer antivirus has been run, then all of the Hero School's security robots cease functions, and their robotic eyes began to erratically change color between red and blue, worrying the entire staff as a battle raged in cyberspace. EOVA Samu moments before the end of the live broadcast. From the sound of Rover's grunts and the explosions in the distance, I have to assume that Eraserhead's group is getting closer and closer to the amphitheater, so it's only a matter of time before they surround me. It's time to execute my evil master plan. Millions of people around the world are watching me without knowing that they are being used well. I have planted the seeds of hatred in their hearts, thanks to my dramatic monologues rehearsed in front of my bedroom mirror. And throughout the broadcast, that seed has been nurtured into a vine around the hearts of many people. In this world where sad and dramatic backstories abound, I will use those stories to my advantage. I really am an evil and manipulative little shit for what I'm about to do, and I love it. Ragnarok, I exclaim with a crooked grin from behind my gas mask as my electrically coated Warhammer impacts the already weakened protective barrier of this world's poor imitation homelander. This causes a small crater in the ground before the barrier collapses, and he is hit hard by the Warhammer in his stomach, sending him rolling on the ground away from me. At this, the cameras controlled by the Red King focus on the unconscious Captain Celebrity as dust and smoke cover me completely, before a small figure epically emerges from the crater in the ground in front of me. The moment my Warhammer flew into the amphitheater, it also brought with it one of the clones that was in the throne room fighting against the heroes. At this, he remained hidden in the subterranean passageways that have not yet collapsed under the arena of the amphitheater, waiting for the right moment to emerge. We both share a brief but meaningful look before bumping our fists together. It's time to turn the world upside down. We both whisper in unison with a cruel smile as he takes my Warhammer, and I quickly jump into the crater. No more words are needed, he is my clone. Therefore he knows what to do. Operation London Bridge is falling down had begun. Once in the underground passage, I tuned into the live broadcast through a small holographic screen generated by my watch, and began to move under the fighting arena. Shortly after, I watched through the small holographic screen as my clone hums and drags the Warhammer across the floor, getting closer and closer to the unconscious Captain Celebrity. Hawks, of course, try to convince my clone with a silly morality speech. The irony almost makes me burst out laughing. Then, my clone, pretending to be a good kid, drops the warhammer on the ground very close to Captain Celebrity and turns around. "Don't worry, Kigo Nias and I have everything under control." My clone hums, bowing slightly to the camera. "Showtime," I whisper, pressing a button on my watch which causes the warhammer to emit a small and imperceptible electrical current traveling through a special metal alloy in the ground and impacting Captain Celebrity, who wakes up abruptly. "Let's see the sea together," my clone exclaims dramatically before Captain Celebrity's remaining fist pierces his chest, traumatizing many people. It should be noted that Hawk's piercing screams did not help the situation much before the transmission is interrupted by my artificial intelligence. The Red King knows what to do. He has his orders deep in his programming code, and I have complete confidence in his abilities. At this, I quickly return to the surface through a small hole and appear right behind a pitiful Hawks kneeling on the ground, emitting a powerful killing intent as he tightly grips his lightsaber, and his eyes are bloodshot. "Ealar tilde Morgulis," my clone shamelessly hums before dissolving under the incredulous gaze of Captain Celebrity and Hawks. "I told you I had everything under control," I casually whisper with a shitty grin behind Hawks before snapping my fingers. Then, numerous holographic screens begin to appear around us, reproducing the reactions of a large crowd of people after the live broadcast ended. "What the hell is going on?" Captain Celebrity grunts, glancing rapidly at the holographic screens around him where people despise and insult him as well as the Hero Commission. He just realized his situation. "This can't be real. No, no, no," he whispers over and over again, looking at his trembling hand stained with a slime-like liquid. "Child Emperor, what have you done?" Hawks asks weakly, watching the chaos rapidly spreading through many cities. "I may have caused anarchy in much of Japan and many cities around the world," I say, scratching my head innocently before pulling out a small taser from my backpack, as Hawks' eyes narrow in my direction. "But everything will be back to normal when you wake up," I exclaimed happily, shooting him in the chest, quickly causing an electric current to spread through his entire body, and he fell unconscious to the ground. "Possibly," I whisper, laughing slightly. "It's very possible that Hawks doesn't approve of my unorthodox methods and interferes in some way. So the most logical option is to quickly neutralize him. After all, the benefits outweigh the losses. Eventually, he will thank me." You used us all this time," Captain Celebrity whispers, watching me intently with his crazed eyes as a powerful explosion completely destroys one of the walls of the amphitheater, causing the whole place to start shaking heavily. Before Rover's roars and turret shots get louder. "Playtime is over. I had a lot of fun playing with you. However, it's time to pick up the toys, and your purpose has ended." I hum, slowly moving closer to him as his eyes widen in terror. "You are not a child, tell me. Who the hell are you?" he exclaims, taking a couple of steps back, trying to generate an aerodynamic barrier around him, and failing miserably, because his body has reached the limit. "Who am I really?" I hum, stopping at a safe distance before lowering my gas mask to my neck, revealing my childlike face. "I'm just a cute, innocent kid playing the villain," I say, innocently placing a finger on my lips while tilting my head slightly in apparent confusion. "And I plan to have a lot of fun causing all kinds of chaos around me," I exclaim happily, spreading my arms out theatrically, before a crooked smile begins to spread all over my face, completely destroying the innocent facade. "Unfortunately for you, this is I callously say with a thumbs down in Captain Celebrity's direction as my eyes sparkle with amusement, and I cover my face with my gas mask again. "Game over." At that moment, a small flying figure cosplaying Tanya Degurachev with a rifle slung over his shoulder crashes into Captain Celebrity's back. "I have little time," my main clone hums, wrapping his little arms around Captain Celebrity's neck. "I caught you," he whispers sinisterly. "What? When?" Captain Celebrity asks, confused and wide-eyed after being surprised by not noticing his surroundings. "Get off me, damn it," he exclaims in a panic, using his remaining hand to try to free himself. However, he has reached his limit and fails miserably. "It's a great honor. They say this is a good way to die," my clone hums, activating his rocket shoes, which causes him and Captain Celebrity to be launched at full speed across the destroyed ceiling into the sky. "There is nothing more fun," he exclaims happily before starting to laugh out loud as they rise higher and higher. The time of my main clone is coming to an end due to the compound H that runs all over his body, and there is only one inevitable but spectacular end. "Damn demon child," Captain Celebrity exclaims with all his might and with wide eyes. "Hell Hydra is all," my clone says before his eyes turn red, indicating the game over. EOV raise a head moments before in the throne room. "Dracaries," the troublesome gremlin exclaims on top of the head of the huge monstrous dog named Rover. Immediately after, a powerful ball of energy is shot through Rover's huge mouth toward our direction, destroying everything in its path. "Out of the way," I exclaimed with wide eyes and tightly grip my capture weapon, which has embedded itself in a raised surface in the distance. At this, Gran Torino uses his quirk and propels himself to the side, roughly pushing Snipe and Present Mick out of the way, allowing them to easily dodge the huge ball of energy. Meanwhile, I was swinging in the air, tightly gripping my capture gun, and analytically observing the situation around me. The enormous ball of energy destroyed everything in its path, creating a huge hole in the structure that extended to other rooms of this damn tower. With our current strength, we won't be able to defeat the huge rover, not to mention my quirk doesn't seem to have any visible effect on him. We can't count on reinforcements from outside, let alone Idiot All Might. He was almost certainly one of the first to fall for one of Child Emperor's twisted traps. The only viable solution I can think of at the moment is to try and put Rover to sleep using Midnight's quirk. Where are you, Midnight? I wander, sweeping the entire throne room with my sharp gaze until I finally found her, and I could only snort. On the other side of the throne room and beyond the gigantic rover is Midnight, completely naked and swinging her whip in the air, before a thick fog covers her surroundings, making it difficult for me to see. Immediately after, I can make out Midnight's silhouette fighting against what appears to be some robotic tentacles hidden in the dense mist, before the sparks become visible. Toga 2, go for the exhibitionist, the troublesome gremlin exclaims, pointing his hand in the direction of Midnight in the distance, before looking at me intently with his eyes shining with sheer cunning. It seems that the small and chaotic gremlin also foresaw this. As you order, darling, Toga exclaims, giving a cheeky military salute before taking a couple of steps back and leaping nimbly from the top of the massive rover, leaving her bat behind. At this, she acrobatically lands on the ground in some sort of superhero landing and begins to run with a bloodthirsty smile in Midnight's direction, before quickly pulling a vial of blood from her belt and consuming it, causing my eyes to go wide. At what point did she? Damn it, I have to stop her right now. However, at that moment a flurry of lasers begin to be fired from the gigantic rover's turrets, thus limiting my movement and that of my fellow heroes. Now, to the amphitheater, the Valhalla awaits me, the gremlin exclaims, glancing quickly at his watch before pointing his hand forward to where the gaping hole in the wall created a few moments ago is located. Charge, he exclaims happily before Rover roars loudly and charges forward, ramming everything in his path as the turrets fire incessantly. This is bad. If Rover meets the original Child Emperor, it will be impossible to stop his escape, and possibly Sir Nightai along with Power Loader will be kidnapped or something much worse. At this, I quickly take cover behind a large piece of rubble along with my fellow heroes, as we helplessly watch the gigantic rover destroy everything in his path, and Toga getting closer and closer to Midnight. A plan urgently, your comrades need now. Gran Torino whispers, looking at me seriously. See within yourself, you must discover the true path of a hero, you must. He says, cryptically nodding his head as a defiant smile begins to spread across his old face. Plus ultra, Gran Torino whispers, clenching his green lightsaber tightly before activating his quirk and propelling himself into the air at full speed, drawing the attention of enemy turrets as he uses his lightsaber to deflect the blasts of laser beams that are fired at him. He is using himself as bait to give me enough time to come up with a plan. I need to push myself harder. I need to push my limits even if the price is high. I need to go plus ultra. Present mech. Snipe, I exclaim, clenching my fists and drawing the attention of both trembling heroes. I won't lose anyone again. This is the plan. POV Mirko fighting powerful villains gives me indescribable pleasure. The feeling of adrenaline coursing through my body is addictive, and the sound of my opponent's bones breaking is music to my ears. Over the years, I have kicked and put behind bars the asses of countless villains because a hero never ever gives up. Is that all you have? The damn giant snake was more challenging, I exclaim with a defiant smile as a robotic tentacle camouflaged by the dense fog wraps around my leg, until it gets under my hero uniform and begins to wriggle, trying to immobilize me as a cheeky childish cackle reaches my ears. I must admit that the little brat has balls hiding in the dense fog produced by his strange backpack and trying to take us by surprise. It seems that he doesn't know who he's really messing with. I am the rabbit hero Mirko, I exclaim, tensing my leg muscles before flexing them strongly and crushing the robotic tentacle between my powerful legs, splitting it in half and producing lots of sparks. And your ass is mine to kick, I exclaim, pointing my thumb at myself. Game's over, you perverted little brat. Midnight snorts, smashing her whip into another robotic tentacle that appeared out of nowhere, smashing it into several pieces as sparks fly around her. We have to neutralize the little demon and support the others, she whispers worriedly. As this happens, we can both hear the growling of the huge giant dog and the sound of turrets firing in the distance. The enemy has an ace up his sleeve, so I am very eager to face this huge opponent and measure my current strength. However, we cannot intervene without first neutralizing the small threat that lurks in front of us. By joining forces with Midnight, we quickly manage to destroy much of the little clone's robotic tentacles, and from what I can gather, he's becoming helpless. At that moment, a smile begins to spread across my face as I spot a small figure through the mist. Take this, the little clone exclaims, jumping into the air and extending both arms towards me, before a gigantic boxing glove emerges from his backpack. Full power, Chaos strike, he exclaims, clenching his fists, causing electricity to immediately surround the gigantic boxing glove before attempting to smash me. I live each day as if it were the last so as not to regret anything. That's been my motto even before I became a hero, and I don't plan on taking it back. What fun. I grunt through gritted teeth and with my arms stretched out in the air, holding the huge boxing glove tightly and avoiding being crushed by such a huge weight while an electric current spreads through my entire body and the ground under my feet cracks. Even if the muscles in my arms and legs scream in pain, Rabbit Hero Mirko never ever gives up. Moonarch, I exclaim with determination, straining my leg muscles before bringing my right leg up at full speed and delivering a powerful front axe kick into the damn giant boxing glove. As a result of my powerful and majestic kick, a powerful shock wave is produced, dispelling all the dense mist around me. Whoops! The brat exclaims, crashing into a nearby rubble pile, as the remains of the giant boxing glove are now scattered around us. Mirko, are you okay? Midnight asks with concern before coughing a bit. I tried to help you, but I was neglected for a second, and one of those twisted tentacles tried to suffocate me by wrapping around my neck and trying to get into my mouth. Midnight snorts, shaking her head and clenching her whip tightly. Don't worry. The brat is helpless after losing his toys, I say, pointing to the small figure of the clone breathing heavily and leaning against a piece of rubble in the distance as sparks fly from his badly damaged backpack. I wonder why he hasn't dissipated yet. Maybe he has a strong will. Or possibly my thoughts are interrupted by a powerful roar in the distance which catches my attention. At this, I watch with curiosity as the gigantic dog leaves the throne room through a giant hole towards other chambers of this cursed tower, charging everything in his path. That's bad, very bad. Midnight whispers, swallowing a lump in her throat before a small but cruel laugh catches our attention. It's funny, right? All the chaos a small child can cause. The brat leaning against some rubble hums as his eyes twinkle with amusement. It is poetic and wonderful, he exclaims, throwing his hands up in the air happily before pointing his hands at us and clenching his fists. Shit, does the brat have any more tricks up his sleeve? Will it blow up the whole area? Does he have a laser beam hidden in his ass? At these thoughts, I immediately brace myself for any kind of attack. However, the attack never came. Oops. He says, scratching the back of his head as a lot of shorting and screeching occurs inside his backpack. Sure enough, the brat is now helpless, so I start to slowly approach him as a shitty grin spreads across my face. You're not that tough without your toys. Huh? Now prepare your little ass to receive the fury of the rabbit hero. I tease, licking my lips and not paying much attention to the arrival of Eraserhead, who starts chatting with Midnight seriously a few meters behind me. If you underestimate me, I guarantee you'll regret it. Oh, Tilda-chan. The brat cheekily hums as I approach until I'm practically in front of him. He doesn't seem fazed by my approach, and he just watches me defiantly as sparks fly from his backpack. I just shrug and lean forward until I'm face to face with him. I like your defiant look. It's a shame you're a villain. You would have made a decent sparring partner. You'd even look adorable in a bunny costume. I whisper, shaking my head condescendingly before reaching out and grabbing the gas mask from him. The moment you remove the gas mask from my face, I will instantly dissipate, and you will lose the opportunity to learn my secret evil plan. He slyly threatens, to which I grit my teeth and remove my hand from his gas mask, before aggressively grabbing his shirt and suspending him in the air. Does he think he can make the rules? How arrogant. I need to control myself, otherwise I'll end up impaling his ass with a powerful kick from me before it's time. Mirko, it's a trap. Kaya. I hear Midnight exclaim behind me, immediately drawing my attention as the brat's eyes sparkle. What the hell is going on now? At this, I turn my gaze in the direction of Midnight's scream, and my eyes widen as I observe Midnight naked and writhing on the ground with quirk-inhibiting handcuffs around her wrists and ankles, while the Eraserhead figure is on top of her. Those quirk-inhibiting handcuffs are the ones the cops use to contain and transport villains to jails, so Midnight can't use her quirk and neutralize her opponent. Damn. You will not interfere with my darling Bloodbag's plans. Eraserhead exclaims as a liquid begins to cover his entire body, until he transforms into a naked girl with sharp teeth. If he wanted it, all of you would be dead before you even set foot on this tower, so I won't kill you, but I will leave you on the verge of collapse, she says, slowly licking Midnight's neck before biting into her and beginning to suck the blood out of her. Get off me, leech. Midnight growls through clenched teeth as both girls spin on the floor, stark naked not far from me. What an enchanting sight. I wish the original could see this. The brat whispers as I still hold him abruptly in the air by his shirt. Although now that I think about it, there are hidden cameras everywhere. Hehe. He chuckles slightly as the short circuits and sparks from his backpack ceased. Shut up, you little shit. I grunt, releasing him from my grasp and slamming his ass into the ground. In his current state, he doesn't seem to be a threat. I'll have to interrogate him after I take care of the vampire girl. I'll deal with you shortly, I growl, watching the brat out of the corner of my eye as he stares at the ground and his shoulders begin to shake slightly. After all, he's just a fucking kid playing the villain. At this, I snort in disappointment before turning my back on him and focusing on my new prey. Whereupon I rest my hands on the ground and flex my legs, preparing to perform a powerful bunny hop and take the vampire girl by surprise. However, at that moment something very strange happened. Midnight's eyes widened in terror as she watched me prepare to help her. "You are very close to him. Don't turn your back on him," Midnight exclaims, her face pale as the vampire girl continues to suck the blood from her. "It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again," Midnight stutters, repeatedly writhing on the ground and beginning to lose consciousness due to lack of blood. Right after, the vampire girl separates her fangs from Midnight's neck and looks at me intently before licking her blood-smeared lips and smiling defiantly. The fucking psychopath is challenging me. I accept the challenge. I will show her the power of the rabbit hero Mirko. A defiant smile spreads across my face as the ground beneath my hands and feet cracks, ready to charge toward her. Then, a small voice full of malice and pure evil came from behind me, causing chills all over my body. Self-repair complete. It was at that moment when my survival instinct went crazy, warning me of a predator behind my back. It was at that moment when I instantly regretted not having pureed the damn brat when I had him in my hands. The strange sounds and short circuits coming from his backpack now make sense. It was repairing itself. It was at that moment that I understood what Midnight was trying to warn me about. However, it was too late and my ass paid the consequences. Hydra secret technique. I hear him exclaim behind me, followed immediately by a loud metallic and electrical noise. 3,000 years of pain. Then I felt it. A powerful electric current like no other ran through my entire body from the inside out, causing my mind to go blank. Immediately after, a puff of smoke is all that comes out of my mouth, before I drop to my knees, trying to understand how I ended up this way. My arms and legs are unresponsive as I keep looking up with my remaining strength until a small figure stands in front of me. A fearsome wolf in sheep's clothing observing his prey. "I told you that you would regret underestimating me, little bunny. I am the rabbit hero Mirko Midnight." Mirko, resist. And I never Sonic Cataclysm, and that was all I heard before I collapsed. POV third person, Sonic Cataclysm. Present Mick exclaims from a distance, unleashing a powerful and controlled sonic wave that rushes harmlessly right above the defeated figures of Midnight and Mirko, who are sprawled on the ground breathing heavily. At this, the two clones responsible for neutralizing both heroines try to quickly retreat in the direction of the Great Iron Throne in the distance, before being hit by the sonic wave and receiving Present Mick's fury. "My head is going to explode." Kaya, Toga exclaims, covering her ears tightly as she falls to her knees and grits her teeth with a desperate look on her face, before the small figure of the child Emperor clone stands in front of her protectively. Despite considering himself a mere disposable clone, he has one goal in mind: to do everything possible to fulfill the goals of the original and have fun in the process. Even if he no longer feels the presence of the main clone, even if he feels a void in his chest gradually expanding throughout his body, even if he has to sacrifice himself, he will gladly do so. After all, he is also a part of this exciting game. "Don't dissipate now, Toga 2, he exclaims, crossing his arms in front of his face as small wounds begin to form all over his body and part of his gas mask cracks slightly due to the strong sonic waves produced by the Present Mick. "We are the last line of defense. We have to hold off the heroes for as long as we can. The original is counting on us," he exclaims fervently with a defiant smile stretching out from behind his gas mask. "Let's put on a show they'll never forget and have fun in the process," he exclaims, pointing his small hand in Present Mick's direction as his last working robotic tentacle hovers erratically above him. "Until then, stay with me," he exclaims, clenching his fist before the tentacle disengages from his back and is shot at full speed at the hero. At this, Present Mick's eyes widen, jumping back and parrying his sonic attack just in time to dodge a robotic tentacle that crashes to the ground inches from him. "That was close," Present Mick whispers, watching the strange robotic tentacle wriggle on the ground, before small robotic paws unfurl from the tip of the tentacle, like a mutant insect. "Oh god, no," Present Mick stammers, his face completely pale and unable to use his quirk in time, before the robotic tentacle jumps out and wraps around his face, increasing his phobia of insects to extreme levels. "Snipey," he screeches with his eyes rolling back and falling like a board to the ground. As this happened, Toga stared wide-eyed at the clone's back in front of her, specifically his neck, before a force of will began to spread throughout her body. "You're right. I don't plan on dissipating until I'm satisfied," she whispers ominously, standing up before licking her lips. Then Toga's eyes shine with determination as she wraps her arms around the little clone's body and lifts him onto her shoulders, before starting to run towards the massive Iron Throne. "What are you doing?" he exclaimed, feigning confusion and hiding a small smile behind his gas mask, before a bullet crashed into the ground a few millimeters from them. "ECH?" Snipe growls in frustration from behind a column after missing a shot that should have taken down both clones at the same time. At this, he draws a smoke bomb from his belt and throws it, quickly covering much of the area with thick smoke before advancing towards Present Mick, who is writhing on the ground trying to remove the robotic tentacle from his face and mouth. "Don't move," Snipe says, seriously walking forward and pointing his gun in the direction of Present Mick in the distance, before pulling the trigger and firing a burst of bullets through the thick smoke with the help of his quirk. At this, the bullets quickly head towards the target and impact against the robotic tentacle, causing many sparks and short circuits, until finally a terrified Present Mick is released from the terrifying robotic tentacle. "That was disgusting and scary," Present Mick exclaims before taking a deep breath as he kneels on the ground, trying to catch his breath, and watching the figure of the strange robotic tentacle destroyed on the ground in front of him with several bullet holes. "Oh God, that thing was inside my mouth," he stutters in a panic before remembering how Mirko was pinned down, which caused his face to turn completely green before emptying his stomach. "This is not the time or place to grieve." Snipe huffs, reloading his weapon as the smoke begins to clear. "Once the smoke clears, we will be easy targets for the enemy," he whispers, pointing his gun now with ammunition in front of him. "So help Midnight and Mirko," he exclaims, pulling the trigger after spotting his targets in the distance, and firing a series of bullets that make their way through the smoke in the direction of his targets, before the bullets are epically intercepted, surprising the hero. While Snipe rescued Present Mick from the malevolent robotic tentacle, Toga took the opportunity to retreat towards the Iron Throne, carrying the small clone on her shoulders, until they reached a small compartment on the floor with supplies still inside. "The long night is only the beginning of the end of the Age of Heroes," the clone exclaims dramatically, swinging a lightsaber and intercepting another bullet, as Toga stands behind him rummaging through the supply bin for something useful. At this, Present Mick quickly runs to Midnight, and carries her in his arms, while she is still very weak, due to lack of blood. "Sorry, I let my guard down," Midnight whispers, coughing a bit as the tower begins to shake heavily. Damn, I'm weak, I'm still very weak." Mirko growls in frustration, slamming her hand to the ground as she shakily stands up. She has partially regained control of her limbs, so her movements are erratic and uncoordinated. This was due to the powerful electrical current that ran through her entire body, affecting some important nerves. "The path to the amphitheater is blocked by those clones, and from what I see, this tower won't last much longer. We must get out of here," Snipe exclaims, firing his weapon in the direction of the clone, who has fun, nimbly blocking the bullets with his lightsaber. "Huh, they leave so soon. But you guys just got here," Toga exclaims, taking out some kind of rocket launcher from the depths of the compartment as a crooked smile spreads across her face. Toga too. "Wait, that's very..." The clone warns, rushing at her and trying to grab the dangerous rocket launcher from her hands, which causes him to fall to the ground on top of her as the rocket launcher is fired. Destructive. He huffs over the naked body of the Toga clone, before quickly standing up and taking stock of the situation. At this, everyone present watches as the missile flies in the direction of the main door of the throne room, before splitting into dozens of small but powerful missiles, which destroy the doors and many of the columns. This causes a chain reaction in the remaining columns, which begin to collapse soon after. "Oops," Toga chuckled, standing up quickly with wide eyes. At that moment, the speakers spread throughout the entire throne room begin to play a tune, causing the Child Emperor clone's eyes to widen, before a crooked grin spreads behind his gas mask. For him, that melody symbolizes that the plans of the original have been successfully put into operation. Play Game of Thrones. Light of the Seven, the long night has begun. The fate of the world now lies in the hands of a little boy, he exclaims happily as little by little large chunks of debris begin to fall all over the throne room. The real Game of Thrones has just begun, he says, proudly jabbing his lightsaber into the ground before a pair of arms wrap around him and Toga's fangs sink into his neck. "Chaos and fun," he exclaims, unfazed by the fangs embedded in his neck, as the heroes desperately run trying to escape the avalanche of debris that is coming closer and closer towards them. "Fire and blood," Toga babbles happily, feasting on the sweet blood of her favorite prey, as her cheeks are flushed and her eyes sparkle with happiness, before a tear of happiness slides down her face. "An infinite game," he exclaims, hugging Toga and closing his eyes tightly, before being crushed by a mountain of rubble next to the Iron Throne, ending the brief but chaotic history of both clones. A small story that is intertwined with many other stories which form the prologue of a great story badly told. The story of a boy and a wish. EOV Child Emperor. Moments ago in the amphitheater, before dying and being reborn in this world, I had a wish, the whim of a 13-year-old boy before dying abruptly, because of the decisions of some adults. Then my wish came true, affecting the lives of countless people around this world. and even knowing this I will never regret it. Amazing, I whisper, looking wide-eyed at the spectacular explosion that occurs in the sky above me as a crooked grin hides behind my gas mask, before starting to laugh out loud. A little boy has turned the world upside down, I exclaim at the top of my lungs as a sense of pride spreads through my entire body. The big game is just beginning. Then the sounds of firing turrets grow closer as the sound of large footsteps rapidly approaching comes from a huge hole in one of the destroyed walls of the amphitheater, where my main clone had entered earlier. Shortly after, Rover's huge figure pushes his way through the gaping hole and enters the amphitheater, growling loudly while above his head is Twice holding his shield and searching desperately for me, with his gaze scanning every inch of the destroyed amphitheater. It's time to leave the stage in style. Rover, Twice, over here, I exclaim happily, throwing my hands in the air next to an unconscious Hawks. This immediately catches the attention of my little giant cub and my loyal minion Twice. Right after, Rover begins to pounce towards me as his tail flicks erratically, and his eyes shine with happiness. However, it seems that they are not the only ones who have set their sights on me. My lord, we have problems. A couple of problems, Twice exclaims frantically, pointing at the two figures chasing them. Child Emperor, you are in a lot of trouble. A Razorhead exclaims, swinging in the air using his capture weapon and nimbly dodging the laser shots from the turrets as if he was some kind of Spider-Man. That's so cool. Meanwhile, Gran Torino is using his quirk to propel himself through the air and walls at an impressive speed, which brings him ever closer to Rover. However, what caught my attention the most was the fact that he is using one of my lightsabers to deflect some laser shots, as if he were the real Master Yoda. That old man, he really is amazing. Then, Gran Torino crashes into one of the turrets, alarming the little gunner. The infidels have breached our defenses. I hear the little gunner exclaim as Gran Torino sneaks inside the turret swinging his lightsaber. Justice has arrived. I hear Gran Torino exclaim from inside the turret as Rover continues to rapidly approach my direction. Ho Hydra, Kaya. I hear the gunner scream as the tip of a lightsaber protrudes from the turret, spraying a slime-like liquid before the safety mechanism activates, causing the turret to immediately disengage and crash to the ground. The life expectancy of my clones is terrifyingly low, not to mention the fact that these clones are clones of my main clone, which injected himself with Compound H and exploded into thousands of pieces a few moments ago. Therefore, the rest of the clones generated by him will dissipate shortly. Gran Torino, a Razorhead exclaims, swinging in the air and drawing his retractable staff as Gran Torino bursts out from inside the destroyed and smoking turret, swaying from side to side and covered in the clone's slimy remains, before pouncing again. Why don't they give up once and for all? Their bodies must be on the verge of collapse after fighting my artificial intelligence, going through a ruthless mandatory dance session, and fighting my chaos clones. These heroes really are good heroes, which is actually bad for me. I have no time to waste. If I underestimate the heroes right now, I will put myself in a precarious position. Rover, don't stop. Twice, release the charge, I exclaim, walking a few feet away from the unconscious Hawks as my huge pup speeds toward me without slowing down. Let's go home, I exclaimed, holding the straps of my backpack tightly before Rover's sharp teeth rush towards me, and he lightly bites my backpack, picking me up from the ground and suspending me in the air, while he continues advancing rapidly without stopping at anything. So while I'm being suspended in the air like some kind of pup, I watch the unconscious figures of Power Loader along with Sir Nightai being thrown off the top of the rover by Twice. Happy landing. I hope you break a lot of bones, Twice exclaims happily, making a heart shape with his hands towards them. By doing this, the remaining heroes have to decide whether to help their injured fellow heroes or go after us, so the answer is more than logical. Not to mention that the tower has started to shake harder and harder. Due to the multiple clashes, the Tower of Chaos is reaching its limit, so it's only a matter of time before the imminent collapse. As a result, Gran Torino's eyes widen, and he drops his lightsaber to the ground before immediately changing course and catching both heroes unconscious just in time to prevent them from crashing to the ground. A Razorhead, go for the brat, Gran Torino exclaims, holding a pair of unconscious heroes on his small shoulders as he lands next to an unconscious Hawks before beginning to breathe heavily. As this occurs, Rover continues to run forward towards a huge concrete wall at the far end of the amphitheater, whereupon he does a quick head movement and lifts me into the air, allowing me to land on his head. Immediately after, bolts of electricity begin to focus on Rover's mouth. With Gran Torino out of the equation, the only obstacle that is still hell-bent on stopping me is game's over, Child Emperor. A Razorhead exclaims, swinging acrobatically in the air with multiple burns visible around his body, before forcefully hurling his retractable baton at the remaining turret, striking the gunner and dissipating him immediately, causing the turret's firing to cease. A Razorhead, you are troublesome, I huff, crossing my arms and watching the hero perform a three-pronged landing on Rover's back a few feet from me. The same could be said of you, troublesome little brat. A Razorhead growls, breathing heavily and holding tightly to his capture weapon as a few drops of blood fall from his hands. By now, a Razorhead must have realized realized that it's impossible to win this fight. The destructive power of my little cub makes him a little weapon of mass destruction at my disposal, not to mention Twice's abilities and the tricks I still have up my sleeve. The purpose of a Razorhead is to buy time for the rest of the heroes to surround us. That's something I can't afford in this situation. Twice, neutralize him, I exclaim, pointing at a Razorhead with my hand as Twice yells fiercely, holding his shield in front of him before lunging at the hero. I will protect the little Dark Lord. I will protect my first friend, Twice fervently exclaims, holding his shield with one hand as he extends his other hand forward and begins to spawn a copy of Darby. However, the copy was not completed due to his quirk being nullified by the hero, thus initiating a quick exchange of blows. Rover then shoots a powerful ball of energy, instantly destroying the concrete wall in front of us, while above the sky, through the destroyed roof of the amphitheater, I can see the figure of Roku flying in her dragon form, scanning the entire area. Child Emperor, a Razorhead exclaims, exhausted, receiving a shield hit in the stomach, which makes him fall to his knees and drop his capture weapon, while his eyes are bloodshot, keeping his sight on Twice at all times. I will catch you, he growls defiantly. Is that a challenge? I accept the challenge with pleasure. At this, a smile spreads behind my gas mask. Shota Izawa, I exclaimed, rushing towards him while clenching my fist and swinging my arm forward at the same time. That a boxing glove comes out of my backpack, taking the hero by surprise. Immediately after, my small fist slams into the hero's face as my boxing glove punches the hero hard in the stomach, effectively pulling him away from us, causing him to fall off Rover's back and roll across the floor, leaving him behind. Catch me if you can, I exclaim defiantly at the top of my lungs, as Rover leaps through the destroyed wall, allowing us to escape to the outside of the Tower of Chaos, before beginning to plummet from the very top. Then the Tower of Chaos began to collapse epically. This life is definitely exciting. Today my day has been full of events. First, my older brother had a strange nightmare in which I appeared as some kind of very dangerous villain, capable of causing the cookie apocalypse. Normally I would brush this off as a run-of-the-mill nightmare. However, the One for All is the problem. Is it possible that the former holders of the One for All are trying to subtly warn my brother about me through dreams? That would certainly be very troublesome. Or it was just a run-of-the-mill nightmare, and I'm just being overly dramatic. In any case, that will require a more detailed observation in the future to clear my doubts. Continuing my fantastic day, the heroes decided to make their move, fed false information provided by my spy, which led them to fall into my elaborate and evil trap, thus beginning my exciting and twisted game, a game which spread all over the world. And now I'm plummeting from the top of the Tower of Chaos, as I cling tightly to Rover's fluffy yet resilient fur. Muahahaha! I laugh out loud as my heart beats furiously as I feel the adrenaline rushing through my little body. This is fun, so much fun. Don't let go. Do not look down. Don't let go. Do not look down. Twice exclaims to himself, dangling comically by Rover's tail as the upper floors of the Tower of Chaos collide with the lower floors, forming a chain reaction and causing a spectacular collapse. Although there were still heroes inside, I don't plan to worry about them. A tower collapsing on top of them shouldn't be a big problem. After all, that small group of heroes are like cockroaches, so they'll be fine probably. As we quickly plummet to the ground, I can't help but think of the terrified expressions the heroes in the Forest of Chaos will put on when the unstoppable force of Hydra descends upon them. Rover then smashes some trees upon landing, destroying everything within a few meters of him due to the shock wave, while Twice and I still cling tightly to him, before the dust completely covers the entire area as the Tower of Chaos collapses behind us. At this, the screams of panic coming from the heroes around the Tower of Chaos and the Forest of Chaos did not wait. It's time to go home, and to do so I have to go through the Forest of Chaos full of heroes. However, this time, the world is not watching me through a camera, so I do not intend to hold back. Right now, I'm UNSTOPPABLE go EOV third person moments before the Tower of Chaos collapse. With the wild pussycats, Kota needs his parents. Don't let that thing control your actions, Mandalay exclaims, nimbly jumping back and dodging a whip of water, while the rest of her team is held inside a prison of water holding their breath. In front of her is the hero duo water hose with red eyes and being controlled by a mind control hat on their heads. Water dragon, they exclaimed in unison, producing several water dragons behind them menacingly. Mandalay is on the verge of collapse, her hero outfit a mess with injuries all over her body. Not to mention her team of heroes won't be able to hold their breath much longer. It is the first time in her life that she feels so helpless. Fusion, the water hose hero duo exclaimed in unison, clasping their hands together, causing the water dragons behind them to merge into a giant many-headed water beast. Water Hydra, they exclaim, pointing their clasped hands in the direction of Mandalay. I failed, Mandalay whispers, falling to her knees with wide eyes watching the huge water Hydra closing in on her. We all fail. she whispers before being struck by such a powerful force, as her fellow heroes watch helplessly wide-eyed from the water prison. Then the water hydra along with the water prison immediately dissipates, freeing the heroes who begin to take big breaths and shakily get up from the ground, except for Mandalay, who is badly injured on the ground. Mandalay? Mandalay? Tiger exclaims, holding Mandalay in his arms as fear begins to settle in the hearts of the wild pussycats. As this occurs, the water hose hero duo fall to their knees gasping for air as two fried hats fall to the ground. Kota. It's all they say before falling to the ground unconscious due to quirk exhaustion. Was Child Emperor really the cause of all this? Tell me, what kind of child are we dealing with? Pixie Bob asks weakly with a blank look on her face as her hands and legs shake. The silence of her companions was all the answer. When All Might destroyed the generator located in the depths of the Tower of Chaos, the mind control hats, door 15, were remotely disabled. This knocked out the hero duo Water Hose along with Uwabami, who were immediately taken to the medical camp along with Mandalay. Deep in the forest of chaos and surrounded by several exhausted and injured heroes, Moonfish fell to the ground in a vegetative state. Following the failure of the door 15, Moonfish's unrecognizable body due to the forced evolution of his quirk returned to normal soon after and was quickly restrained, much to the relief of the heroes present. However, minutes later and in the farthest part of the forest, Muscular remained conscious but disoriented after the failure of the door 15. Muscular! Smash! Ha! Muscular exclaims, grabbing Gang Orca by the leg, before repeatedly slamming him into the ground, creating a bigger and bigger crater. Gang Orca! The old hero Yoroi Musha exclaims, wearing his signature samurai armor and shakily gripping his katana tightly before charging at his opponent. Fifth stance, Samurai Slash. He exclaims at the top of his lungs as his katana crashes into Muscular's back, producing a shallow cut. Damn insects! Muscular exclaims in frustration, throwing the mangled hero Gang Orca into a pile of trees, before muscle fibers begin to cover the wound on his back, and his attention is focused on the samurai hero. I will crush you, and then I'll smash the damn brat, he exclaims, covering his fist in muscle fibers, and swinging his fist at the old samurai hero, who froze with wide eyes. Then Fat Gum pushes Yoroi Musha to the side and intercepts the blow with his powerful belly, causing his attacker's fist to sink into the hero's body fat. Fat absorption. Fat Gum exclaims at the top of his lungs as his belly starts sucking on his attacker's arm. It was at that moment that a great tremor spread throughout the forest, drawing the attention of all the heroes and policemen involved in the operation. The Tower of Chaos began to collapse. Taking advantage of the hero's distraction, Muscular instantly covered his other arm in muscle fibers and delivered a powerful blow to Fat Gum just below the chin, sending him flying a great distance and freeing his trapped arm. If you move, I'll rip you in half. Muscular growls menacingly, watching the tower collapsing in the distance. This threat completely freezes the samurai hero Yoroi Musha, who, upon finding himself outmatched by such a bloodthirsty opponent, loses his determination and succumbs to his most primitive instincts. Yoroi Musha, a hero with decades of experience, is admired by many people and is on Japan's top 10 list. He didn't move a single muscle, even if his determination was completely destroyed, and even if his honor was tarnished by not summoning up the courage to rush his opponent. He doesn't want to be torn to pieces at the hands of this monster. He wants to live, and will definitely announce his retirement at the end of this disastrous operation. Not all heroes will risk their lives in the sense of duty. After all, not all heroes are altruistic, and there is no way to enjoy the fame and glory obtained if they are dead. Brat, I'm coming for you. Muscular exclaims, ignoring everything around him as a vicious smile begins to spread all over his face. I'll crush you slowly, he exclaims cruelly before starting to run towards his main target, charging and smashing anything that gets in his way. Following this, the samurai hero Yoroi Musha drops his katana to the ground before falling to his knees and removing his samurai helmet. I have lost the path of a hero. I have lost the path of the warrior. I do not deserve to be called a hero, he whispers, looking at the huge column of dust rising in the distance. Dark times are ahead, very dark times, he huffs, accepting the end of his career as a hero. In another location and flying through the rubble of the Tower of Chaos is the Ryukyu dragon hero with a makeshift bandage around her head and holding the unconscious hero's Night-Eye, power loader, and hawks in her claws. The plan has failed miserably, a Razorhead whispers, watching the Tower of Chaos collapse as he holds on tightly to Ryukyu, who nimbly dodges some flying debris. Guys, please be strong, a Razorhead whispers through clenched teeth in frustration and worry. They probably made it out of the tower in time. I bet you my supply of Taiyaki. Gran Torino says, coughing up some blood and gasping for air as he holds onto Ryukyu's back tightly. Gran Torino exceeded his limit a long time ago, which is why he is on the verge of collapse, remaining conscious by sheer force of will. Even if the little brat tries to escape, dozens of heroes are blocking all escape routes, Ryukyu says, watching the heroes on the ground quickly heading towards the area covered in dust and debris. where Rover landed as several armed drones provided by I-Island also rapidly approached. And as long as I'm in the air, I won't lose track of him. We'll definitely catch him and take down this evil organization, Ryukyu exclaims with determination just before the drones start shooting at the heroes on the ground. What the hell is going on? She exclaims, her eyes wide in confusion before two drones quickly take up position behind her. The damn troublesome brat is what's going on. A Razorhead snarls as his right eye twitches violently, just before the drones open fire on them. Damn, hold on tight, Ryukyu exclaims, performing various evasive maneuvers and descending at high speed as two self-guided missiles get closer and closer to her. Brace for impact. In another location in the logistics camp, we have lost control of the drones. All systems have stopped responding. The tower has collapsed. I repeat, the tower has collapsed. We still can't make contact with the outside world or establish a connection to the satellites. Sir, what should we do? Due to zero contact with the outside from the moment the operation began, and after losing all contact with Sir Nightai, after he and his group entered the Tower of Chaos, the entire chain of command now rests on one person. With his hands behind his back and with much of his chest bandaged, David Shield with an unfazed gaze watches Ryukyu's draconic figure crash into a clump of trees in the distance. Prioritize the evacuation of the injured to the nearest hospitals, he commands firmly as some heroes and policemen in the logistics camp look at him with hope and admiration. It turns out that when the battle droids emerged from the ground, attacking the logistics camp at the start of the operation, they immobilized and stunned all the police personnel, along with the few heroes guarding the place, except for David Shield and his men. Therefore, when the staff began to wake up from the daze, a rumor quickly spread throughout the logistics camp. A rumor about how David Shield plugged his laptop into the head of a destroyed droid and infiltrated his programming, while his escorts repelled and protected unconscious personnel from droids attempting to take their unconscious bodies underground. According to rumor, the fight went on for many minutes until finally, David Shield managed to hack and disable all the droids. Due to this supposed act of heroism, he and his men earned the respect and admiration of many of the people around the logistics camp. After this, his injuries were quickly treated, while two of his men were taken to the medical camp. This rumor was obviously false, but an excellent cover for him and his men. The truth is anything but heroic. After leaving the Tower of Chaos through an underground passageway, they quickly shed their tactical suits and returned to the logistics camp, disabling the droids guarding the site and manipulating the situation in their favor. We've just been informed that Child Emperor on top of a gigantic creature is coming on a collision course towards us, a police officer exclaims in panic, trembling and holding a police radio in his hands. At this, many officers and some heroes present in the logistic camp observe with wide eyes a huge column of dust rising above the forest, along with many explosions getting closer and closer to the camp. Sir, do you think we did the right thing by coming here? A hero stutters with a completely pale face as he slowly backs up a couple of steps just like other people. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. David responds cryptically by clenching his fists and watching chaos rage uncontrollably everywhere. Although he did not fully agree with Child Emperor's eccentric and twisted plans, he could not refute the projected results and the impact these plans would bring to the world. For a better future, that's what he desperately wants to believe. Then, something happened that for many would have been considered a stroke of luck. However, it was the opposite. We have access to the satellites, an officer exclaims with hope shining in his eyes just before his laptop screen is flooded with notifications from the outside, and the phones of everyone present start flooding with missed calls and notifications. A few seconds pass where there was only silence between the officers and heroes in the logistics camp, all trying to understand what was really happening behind the scenes. I must abandon the operation, I'm sorry. I have to go back to my city, a hero whispers, squeezing his phone tightly before starting to quickly retreat. Son, stay at home, close doors and windows. Dad will be home soon, an officer exclaims, holding up his phone before leaving his assigned position and beginning a hasty retreat. State of emergency, martial law, riots, and lawlessness, all this while the calls coming from different hero agencies do not stop. This triggered a mass panic and affected the already fractured morale of the heroes and officers deployed throughout the forest. Start the retreat. Where are the reinforcements? Where are the damn reinforcements? Stop him. There are riots in numerous cities. Help, please help. Tokyo has fallen. I repeat, Tokyo has fallen. Block the way. He's unstoppable. I'm going to quit. One hero whispers, frozen in shock and a blank look on his face, as his fellow heroes run desperately trying to get out of the way of the huge hound of the nicknamed Demon Boy. I can't go through with this, he whispers, breathing heavily in panic and despair as his phone and radio don't stop ringing. The sound of explosions, battle cries, and panic are heard throughout the forest. At that moment, all the heroes present knew beyond any doubt that before them stands the true mastermind of Hydra, an incarnated symbol that drives all heroes to despair. I'll have to look for another job. The symbol of chaos. EO Sammy Tilda with smiles. I can fool a whole city Tilda. I mentally hum as a song plays through the headphones embedded in my gas mask. As expected, I have a wide variety of songs stored for every kind of situation, and now it's time to leave the stage, and no one will stop me. My escape plan is simple, maybe too simple and impractical, but I'm sure it will make a big impact on the heroes. After all, today's big performance also needs a big ending. And what better ending than going through the forest of chaos full of heroes using my titanic and adorable puppy. I'll show them how strong I am, I'll show them that I am unstoppable. I exclaim happily, my eyes wide and sparkling with amusement as my fully amplified voice is heard throughout the forest, overlapping the screams of the panicked heroes. Thanks to my voice modulator, I'm a Porsche with no brakes, I exclaim, watching in fascination at the path of destruction behind me as Rover continues to charge into everything in his path, stopping at nothing, striking fear into the hearts of the heroes. I am invincible, I exclaim, spreading my arms out to my sides theatrically as numerous holographic screens materialize around me. I am the symbol of chaos, I exclaim at the top of my lungs, raising my fist in the air and jumping with happiness as if I were the happiest child in the world. As this happens, dozens of heroes get out of the way after completely losing the will to fight or even stand in front of my titanic pup, and get trampled. Through the holographic screens around me, I can see some heroes hidden among the trees, frozen in fear, gritting their teeth and sweat running down their faces, unable to attack. However, seeing the gigantic female figure standing in our way, I can't help but grin from ear to ear. I guess determination still burns strong in the hearts of some heroes. You ruined my debut, Mount Lady exclaims very angrily and tightly holding a heavy piece of rubble like some kind of weapon as she digs her feet into the ground and prepares to intercept us. Although I suppose stupidity burns in their hearts too. Let's see what you're made of, NEE-Chan, I exclaim defiantly, holding on tightly to Rover as Mount Lady swings the heavy chunk of rubble before the mighty impact. Immediately after, small pieces of debris, destroyed trees and a large amount of dirt are thrown everywhere as Mount Lady is dragged backward. I will never forgive you for ruining my chance to shine, she snarls, arms outstretched, gripping my titanic pup's muzzle with all her might as she continues to be dragged backward without slowing. She has a lot of nerve to get in the way, considering that my pup is capable of creating a ball of energy and disintegrating her at any moment. However, that would be very counterproductive to my plans. Since these heroes are just trying to capture me, unlike Captain Celebrity, I guess I can play with them just a little bit. At this, I quickly adjust the volume of my voice modulator to the standard setting and position myself just above Rover's head. Hey NEE-Chan, I exclaim happily, pretending innocence and instantly drawing her attention as a pair of robotic tentacles slowly emerge from my backpack, along with a video camera. Mount Lady was originally supposed to debut in Monsieur Tafu, but due to the butterfly effect caused by me, her debut would take place in this operation, where fame and glory would be assured by taking down a growing criminal organization. However, they did not count on my cunning hair. Don't worry, your debut will be immortalized in the depths of the internet, I exclaim playfully, extending one hand forward and pointing at Mount Lady, while holding a video camera with my other hand. The blackmail material is also very important to my plans. Action, I exclaim, and instantly the two robotic tentacles detach from my backpack and fly toward her. Immediately after, Mount Lady's eyes widen as robotic tentacles pierce a hole in her hero suit and begin to randomly crawl all over her gigantic body beneath her suit. Unfortunately, I haven't implemented X-ray vision in my gas mask yet, so I can't know exactly what's going on under her suit, but looking at her face starting to blush, I can come to a conclusion. I really am a wicked little shit, and I love it. What do you think you're doing? Mount Lady snarls through gritted teeth with a completely red face as she continues to be dragged back helplessly. You little devil, you're going to pay me back, she whispers between heavy breaths, causing her arms and legs to start shaking. Having a pair of robotic tentacles randomly crawling under her hero suit must be very humiliating and uncomfortable for her, which is why she must be on the verge of collapsing, and I plan to speed up that process. You should reconsider your privileges, NEE-Chan, I hum while snapping my fingers, which causes the tentacles to start emitting an electrical discharge wherever they are. Immediately after, she closes her eyes and clenches her teeth, refusing to make any kind of sound before her legs give way, and she loses her balance, completely causing her to be rammed by Rover and sent flying to the side. This is what I was waiting for, the perfect shot of her crushing defeat. Then something very strange happened while I was recording her. At that moment, she didn't let out a panicked scream as I had anticipated. Akielea, she moaned embarrassingly loud, causing my eyes to widen, before she slammed into a bunch of trees, and we left her behind. What just happened? Now that I think about it, it's possible that one of my tentacles accidentally oops. At my little oversight, I quickly shake my head before laughing mischievously slightly. What's done is done, I hum, happily hugging the video camera and thinking of all the potential uses for this recording, at which I can't help but smile broadly. Mount Lady, your destiny is now in my little hands. Muahahaha. However, I am abruptly interrupted. Is it my imagination, or did she just lewdly scream? Because I clearly heard a lewd scream. Or maybe not. Twice exclaims, startling me. Little Dark Lord, did you have anything to do with it? Twice asks, his shield now strapped behind his back and holding a gamepad in his hands, as he watches an unconscious mount lady in the distance. Before turning his head in my direction, Twice was preventing any hero from approaching from behind, which is why I hope he didn't see the tentacles and tied the dots. Twice considers me his first friend, but also over time he has come to consider me as the little brother he never had, which is why sometimes he tends to be a bit overprotective and exaggerated with this kind of thing. I had nothing to do with it. I instinctively exclaim before hiding the video camera behind me as I feel my cheeks heat up. This is ridiculous. I feel like I was caught doing something dirty, and my cognitive process of a child of almost 10 years does not help me at all. However, this brief but awkward situation quickly came to an end with the appearance of a dozen ectoplasm clones emerging from the trees in the distance, running towards us on a collision course, with their hands thrown back like true ninjas. But that was not all. More clones of ectoplasm also emerged from among the trees, with the only difference that now they were riding earth beasts, and there were even flying beasts like dragons and gargoyles. All these beasts are the product of Pixie Bob's quirk, who must be hidden somewhere in the forest observing the situation from a distance together with ectoplasm. This is a wonderfully epic sight, but a frontal attack. I was hoping they would come up with something better. Twice, Rover, get ready, I exclaim, quickly putting my video camera inside my backpack, before two small air cannons slowly emerge from my backpack and hover over me menacingly as the distance between us and our opponents gradually closes. I had to restrain myself not to using these small cannons inside the tower, otherwise I would have overheated this weapon in vain. But in this case, I think this toy is worth having fun with. These air cannons are attached to my fingertips and are only activated by voice command. It's not very practical and was something I developed when I was bored, but it does the job. Charge! One of Ectoplasm's clones exclaims, mounting a centaur made of earth and leading the curious attack. This causes the earth beast to roar audibly, while the rest of the Ectoplasm clones let out a battle cry intended to intimidate me. Now, fire! Another clone exclaims by flying over an earth dragon and dropping a smoke bomb to the ground. Immediately after, several flares and smoke bombs are fired by some clones toward the surroundings, making it difficult to see the terrain in front of us. At this, I extend my small hands forward, forming a pair of imaginary pistols with my hands, while my air cannon suspended above me blare in anticipation of my voice command. Justice will always prevail over adversity. All the Ectoplasm clones exclaim in unison epically as the earth beasts roar loudly. For the future of humanity, we will defeat you. Then a crooked grin spreads behind my gas mask. I'm going to enjoy this. Bang. And that's the end of this episode. The series will continue in the next part, so be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share, and comment down below. This really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching. We'll be seeing you in the next part. Check out my other anime videos. Ho Hydra!